Welcome, crew, guys, gals, ghouls, and other worldly beings. Let's climb aboard the mothership, secure our tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the La Platas on a rocky mountain high, get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners, and settle down snugly at mile marker 420 in colorful Colorado. I'm your ghostess with the mostest, TessaTNT, and I am broadcasting live from the Mile High Clubhouse tonight. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you. And welcome to We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. It's awesome to have you hanging out. I hope you have as much fun or enjoy yourself as much as I do when we're doing these sessions together. If you want to listen in your free time, whether you're working it, or working out, you can find me under We Are Paradox Media at Spreaker.com, YouTube, and anywhere else that you listen to your broadcasts or podcasts. And you will find us there. Some of our shows are live on YouTube. We used to be live on Spreaker. Since we're not allowed to go live on there anymore, we can't go live anywhere else, which is weird. But yeah, today is 1/11, and some people have theories about this day, surmising that it could be a portal or a stargate, but supposedly it's supposed to be a good thing. It says the portal is a sacred gateway of divine alignment and higher frequencies. This is a space of new beginnings, conscious manifestation, and spiritual awakening. As the energies flow, open your heart and soul to receive the wisdom, healing, and transformation available to you. May this portal serve as your stargate to expansion, guiding you toward enlightenment, abundance, and cosmic evolution. And then as far as Sundays go, Sundays are soft landings. It's a time to slow down, to breathe a little deeper, and to come home to yourself. Maybe this week stretched you. Maybe it was beautiful. Maybe it was messy. Whatever it was, it's okay to let it be what it was, and to give yourself grace. You don't need to have it all figured out. Just begin where you are, with what you have, and with kindness for yourself. Rest is not laziness, and it's important to remember that. It's an act of self-respect. Let Sunday be your gentle reset. You are doing better than you think. And it's true, we are our own worst critics. Alright, so I was tossing around what we should do for story time tonight, and I think we're going to stick to Mr. Stephen King and his book, You Like It Darker Stories. And we've been through quite a few. It's been a pretty good book. We're still on rattlesnakes. This one's been pretty trippy, and we're getting to the point, or we've gotten to the point where now the twins are attached to him as ghosts, and the stroller keeps showing up in different places, and yeah, it's just really trippy. If you don't know, go to our last story time that is with Stephen King and catch up. I locked the doors as if that would do any good and turned on every light in the house. Then I sat at the kitchen table and looked at my phone. I had missed a call from Nathan Rutherford, but I had more pressing business than Allie Bell's lawyer. I looked at the picture I'd taken. It was a little blurred because my hand had never stopped shaking, but the shadows of the boys and the pram were there. Nothing was casting them. The road was empty. Next, I opened the voice memo app and pushed play. For 20 seconds, I heard the rhythmic squeaking of the pram's bad wheel. Then it faded away. I thought about getting in touch with Andy Pelly because I was sure he'd registered a different position of the stroller when our talk was over. He'd given me his card. I could email him the photo and the voice memo, but he'd reject both. He'd say the shadows were of palmettos. He might know better, but that's what he would say. And the squeaky wheel? He'd think I did that myself, running the stroller back and forth in the garage while I recorded. He might not say so, but he would think so. He was a cop, not a ghost hunter. But maybe that was okay. I had empiric proof for myself. I had already known what was happening was real, but the thought that it was all in my head had lingered in the background even so. I sat on the kitchen table with my palms pressed against my forehead, thinking. Just a few missed beats of the old ticker, Allie had said, when I was asked if she was okay. But suppose she had been a lot sicker than she claimed, and knew it. Suppose it wasn't just arrhythmia, but congestive heart failure, even cancer, one of those like glioblastoma. That's a death warrant. Suppose she was resigned to her own death, but not to the deaths of her little boys. They had already died once, after all, but had come back, or she had brought them back, and then... Suppose she met me, I said. Yes, suppose. I called Nathan Rutherford, introduced myself, and immediately cut to the chase. I had no interest in Allie Bell's estate. I think his chuckle was more cynical than surprised. Nevertheless, Mr. Trenton, you seem to have it. Ridiculous. Find her relatives. She claimed she had none. That after her husband died, and the little Jays, that's what she called them, she was the last sprig on the family tree. It's the only reason that poor excuse for a will could ever stand up. Her estate is worth a good deal of money, 7 figures, perhaps even 8. She must have been taken with you, sir. No, I thought. I'm the one who was taken, but I don't intend to stay taken. It's put me in a lousy position, Mr. Rutherford. I found her, and pending the autopsy, I look like a man with a motive for killing her. You see that, right? Did you have any reason to believe you were in line to inherit? Perhaps you saw that scrap of a will before Mrs. Bell's decease? No, but Deputy Pelly told me the envelope it was in was unsealed. A county attorney who wanted to make a case could say I had access to it. Time will take care of this, Rutherford said, which meant nothing. He had adopted a soothing voice he probably used on distraught clients. Those with money, at least, and it seemed that I now had a lot more than what was in my 401k. If the will is unchallenged and goes through probate, you can do what you wish with the proceeds. Sell the house, give the money away to worthy charities, should you decide to do so. He didn't go on to say that charity begins at home, but his tone suggested it. I had had enough. He wanted to discuss the serpentine legal trial that lay ahead, but I had my own serpents to worry about. It was dark outside, and I was scared. I thanked him and ended the call. Had she made her will and then killed herself with an overdose of digoxin or sotalol? No, I thought. The little Jays wouldn't like that. I could end up in the county jail, where see us, roll us, dress us would do no good. The verdict at the inquest will be accidental death, but in the meantime, I'll be here, and they'll be here. Because they want me to stay, I whispered. I took a shower, put on a pair of gym shorts, closed the door to the en-suite bathroom, and lay down on Greg Ackerman's big double bed. As a more or less swinging bachelor, he'd probably shared it with any number of honeys. My own honey was gone, in the ground, like my son. I crossed my arms over my chest in an unconscious gesture of protection, and stared up at the ceiling. It hadn't been her, it had been them. They wanted me to stay. They wanted me to be worked on. They wanted to work on me. They wanted me to take over from their mother so they wouldn't have to go to wherever uneasy revenants go to. They liked it right here on Rattlesnake Key, where if I didn't want my head filled with tumbling and repetitive thoughts, if I didn't want to hear the stroller's squeaky wheel behind me, I would live in Allie's house. I would eat in Allie's kitchen and sleep in Allie's bed. I would push them in their stroller. I would eventually come to see them. I don't have to stay here, I thought. I've got a rental car with a full tank of gas. I can get away from them. I don't think the county sheriff will issue a warrant for my arrest, although some judge might issue a bench warrant ordering me to come back pending the inquest. Rutherford would know, and I guess he's my lawyer now, but I'd fight it. And while the lawyers wrangled, Jake and Joe would be getting weaker because she's gone and I'm what they have. Yes, all true enough, and I was scared. You can believe that. There's a line from Scorsese's Mean Streets that's always resonated with me. You don't fuck around with the infinite. But I also was angry. I had been put in a box I wasn't supposed to escape. Not by their mother. In my heart, I was sure that Allie Bell hadn't been in on this. But by a couple of kids. Dead kids, in fact. I had no secret weapon to fight them with, no cross or garlic to ward off vampires. If I was right, is sort of what they were. No rite of exorcism, but I had my mind. And I was too damn old to be pushed around by bad and batter. If Allie hadn't built the box I was in, how could they have done it? Most little boys, I had one, remember, can hardly plan a trip to the bathroom. I fell asleep thinking of Donna, minutes from her end. You're all grown up. Look how tall you are. Squeak, squeak, squeak. I didn't come awake in the dark, at least, because I hadn't turned off the lights. This time the stroller's squeaky wheel wasn't coming from the in-suite. It was further away. I thought it was in the part of the house Greg grandly called the guest quarters. Those quarters consisted of a small living room on the ground floor and a spiral staircase leading up to a bedroom and attached bathroom on the second. The stroller was in the guest bedroom. The real stroller might be still in the garage, but the ghostly one was also real, and so were the twins pushing it so maniacally back and forth. The thoughts seeped back in. They were low at first, but grew louder, as if an unseen hand was turning up the volume. See us, roll us, dress us. See us, roll us, dress us. See us, roll us, dress us. I lay on my back, clutching my hands together on my chest, biting my lip, trying to make the thoughts, their thoughts, my thoughts, stop. I might as well have insisted that the sun not go down. I could still think other thoughts. How long that would last, I didn't know, and there seemed to be only 3 courses of action I could pursue. Lie here and go mad once those earworms swallowed everything. Go down and touch the stroller in the garage, which would silence them for the time being. Or confront the twins. That's what I decided to do. I thought, I won't be driven mad by children. And I thought, roll us, push us, push us. We're yours. You're ours. I got off the bed and started down the upstairs gallery to the guest quarters. Halfway there, the squeaking wheel stopped. I didn't, and the thoughts, roll us, push us, dress us, we're yours, you're ours, didn't either. I didn't hesitate at the door, which was ajar. If I had stopped to think in the part of my mind that was still capable of independent thought, would have turned tail and run. What was I going to do in there? I had no idea. Telling them to go home or get a spanking certainly wouldn't work. What I saw froze me in place. The stroller was beached in the middle of the floor. Jacob and Joseph were in the guest bed. They were no longer children. Yet they were. The bodies under the coverlet were long, bodies of full-grown men. The heads, although grotesquely swollen, were those of children. Rattlesnake poison had so bloated those heads that they had become pumpkins with Halloween faces. Their lips were black. Their foreheads, cheeks, and necks were stippled with snake bites. The eyes were sunken but hellishly alive and aware. They were grinning at me. "Bedtime story! Bedtime story! Bedtime!" Then they were gone. The stroller was gone. 1 minute the twins were there, waiting for their bedtime story. At the next, the room was empty. But the coverlet was turned down on both sides in neat triangles. And that bed had been perfectly made when I came here from Massachusetts. I had seen it for myself. My legs were stilt legs again. I went into the room on them and looked at the bed where the boys had been. I didn't mean to sit on it, but I did because my knees gave out. My heart was still thundering away, and I could hear myself, as at a distance, gasping for breath. This is how old men die, I thought. When I'm found, probably by Pete Ito, the medical examiner, would conclude it was a heart attack. They wouldn't know I had been scared to death by 2 dead men with the heads of children. Only the twins wouldn't like me to die, would they? Now that their mother was gone, I was their only link to the world in which they wanted to stay. I reached out to touch a turned-down triangle of coverlet with each hand and knew they didn't like this bed. They had their own beds in the house down the road, good beds. Their mother would have kept their room just the way it had been on the day they died, 40-some years ago. Those were the beds they liked, and when I lived there I would tuck them in at night and read them Winnie the Pooh as I had to Tad. I certainly couldn't read them Tad's monster words because they were the monsters. When I could get up, I walked slowly back down the gallery to my own room. I might not sleep, but I didn't think I'd hear the stroller's squeaky wheel again that night. The visitation was over. There was never a question of keeping the car in which my son had died. We wouldn't have kept it even if it hadn't been bashed at a dozen places by the dog trying to get in and get at them. A wrecker brought it back to our house. Donna refused to even look at it either, and I didn't blame her. There was no junkyard in Castle Rock. The closest was Andretti's in Gates Falls. I called them. They came, got the Pinto, the death car, and ran it through the crusher. What came out was a cube, shot through with bright seams of glass. Windows, taillights, headlights, windshield. I took a picture. Donna wouldn't look at it. By then, the arguments had started. She wanted me to go on her weekly pilgrimage to Harmony Hill, where Tad was buried. I refused that, as she had refused to look at the crushed cube of the death car. I said Tad was at the house for me, and always would be. She said that sounded high-flown and noble, but it wasn't true. She said I was afraid to go. After I'd break down, and of course she was right. I imagined she saw it in my face every time she looked at me. She was the one who moved out. I came from a business trip to Boston, and she was gone. There was a note. It said the usual things you can probably guess. Can't go on this way, start a new life, turn the page, blah, blah, blah. The only really original thing was the line she'd scrawled under her name, perhaps as an afterthought. I'm still in love with you, and I hate you, and I'm leaving before hate gets the upper hand. Probably I don't have to tell you I felt the same way about her. Deputy Zane called me the next morning while I was spooning up rice checks. Not enjoying them, just gassing up for the day. He said the autopsy had been completed. Alida Bell, wife of Henry, mother to Jacob and Joseph, had died of a heart attack. The me said it was amazing. She lived as long as she did. She had 90% blockages, but that wasn't all. There was cardiac scarring, which means she'd suffered a number of previous heart attacks. Small ones, you know. He also said, well, never mind. No, go ahead, please. Zane cleared his throat. He said even little heart attacks, ones you might not even feel, impair cognition. That could explain why she sometimes believed her children were still alive. I thought of telling him that I knew her children were alive or half alive and I'd never had a heart attack. I think I almost did tell him. Mr. Trenton? Vic? Just thinking about that, I said, does this let me off the hook for the inquest? Nope, you still have to be here for that. You found the body. But if it was a heart attack, pure and simple, oh, it was, but there won't be a toxicology report for another couple of days. Need to find out what was in her stomach. Just dotting I's and crossing T's, you know. I thought it might be a little more. I thought Andy Pelly wanted to make sure that Allie's last minute lick of tea hadn't fed her something. Like oxen in her scrambled eggs at an early breakfast, perhaps. Meanwhile, Zane was talking, and I had to ask him to rewind. I was saying there's a problem, kinda unique. We've got a body, but no burial instructions. And Pelly says you might be on the hook for that. Wait, what? I'm supposed to plan a funeral? Probably not a funeral, Zane said, sounding a trifle embarrassed. Other than the bridge, tenders, and maybe Lloyd Sunderland. He lives on the other side of the bridge. I don't know who'd come. I think her kids would, I thought, although no one would see them except maybe for their surrogate dad. Vic? Mr. Trenton? Did I lose you? Right here. I have the name of her lawyer. My lawyer now, I guess. At least until this gets straightened out. I better give him a call once it gets to business hours. That's a good idea. You do that. And have a good day. As if. I didn't want the rest of my cereal, which I hadn't even tasted anyways. I rinsed the bowl in the sink, CS, and put it in the dishwasher, dress us, and wondered what to do next. Like I didn't know. Take us for a walk. Roll us. I held out against the thoughts, partly my thoughts, that was the worst of it, until I got some clothes on, then gave up. I went out to the garage and grasped the handle of the stroller. I felt a sigh of relief. Mine or theirs or both, I didn't know. The rat run in my head ceased. I thought of rolling the pram down to the swing gate and knew it was a bad idea. Jacob and Joseph had already wedged their way into the consciousness. The more I did what they wanted, the easier it would be for them to control me. What I had seen in the guest bedroom stayed with me. Men's bodies, children's heads swollen with poison. They had grown in death. They had stayed the same. They had the will of men and the simple and selfish desires of small children. They were powerful, and that was bad. But they were also psychotic. That said, that accepted, I could still feel a certain amount of sympathy. They had fallen among rattlesnakes, They had been stung to death by serpents. Who would not be driven insane by such an ending to life? And who would not want to come back and have the childhood that had been denied to them, even if that meant taking someone prisoner to do it? I rolled the stroller back and forth across the concrete floor of the garage a few times, as if trying to lull colicky, cranky babies to sleep. I wondered if it could have been anyone and guessed it couldn't have been. I was perfect, a man alone when suffering his own grief. I let go of the handles and waited for see us, roll us, dress us to come back. It didn't. I left the garage, wanting to feel the warmth of the morning sun on my living face. I lifted my head and closed my eyes, seeing red as the blood in my eyelids lit up. I stood that way as if in worship or meditation, hoping for a solution to a problem that was beyond existential, one I couldn't tell anyone about. I'm supposed to see her into the ground because she has no one? On this side of the veil, at least? But am I not the same? My parents are dead, my older brother is dead, my wife is dead. Who will bury me? And what will those twins from hell do, supposing they get their way and stay here, a male version of Delta Dawn? When I pass, give my egg and the actuarial tables. It won't be all that long. Will they shrivel and just fade away? I can bury Allie, but who will bury me? I opened my eyes and saw Allie's snake pole lying on the courtyard cobbles, exactly where the stroller had been parked each time it returned. It crossed my mind that it might be another illusion, like the tub full of snakes, and knew it wasn't. This wasn't a vision or a visitation, nor had the twins put it here. The stroller was their thing. I picked it up. It was real, all right. The steel pole was warm in my hand. If it had lain out here much longer on the shadeless cobbles, it would have been almost too hot to handle. No one had been here, so who had taken it from the garage? As I held it, I realized my parents, brother, and wife weren't the only loved ones in my life who were dead. There was one more. One who had also died a terrible death at a young age. Tad? It should have sounded pathetic at best, crazy at worst. An old man speaking his long-dead son's name in the empty courtyard of an absurdly oversized house on a Florida key. It didn't, so I said it again. Tad, are you there? Nothing. Only the snake pole, which was undeniably real. Can you help me? There was that ramshackle gazebo at the end of Greg's boardwalk. I went out there with the snake pole over my shoulder, the way an old-time soldier might carry his rifle. And while the pole had no bayonet, it did have that wicked hook at the end. On the gazebo's floor were a few mold-streaked life jackets that didn't look like they'd save anyone's life in an ancient boogie board decorated with a scattering of raccoon shit. I sat on the bench. It creaked beneath my weight. I didn't have to be Hercule Poirot to know Greg didn't spend much time out here by the beach. He had a Gulf Coast house worth $6 or $8 million, and this outpost looked like a forgotten privy somewhere in the wilds of Bossier Parish, Louisiana. But I hadn't come here to appreciate the architecture. I had come here to think. Oh, but that was bullshit. I had come here to try and summon my dead son. There were methods of summoning, assuming the dead hadn't drifted away to wherever they go when they lose interest in this world. I had looked some up on the internet before coming out here. You could use a Ouija board, which I didn't have. You could use a mirror or candles, both of which I did. But after what I'd seen on my cell phone screen last night, I didn't dare try it. There were spirits in Greg's house, but the ones I was sure of weren't friendly, so in the end I'd come out here to this uncared-for gazebo empty-handed. I sat and looked out at the beach, unmarked by a single track, and a gulf unmarked by a single sail. In February or March, both the beach and the water would have been packed. In August, there was only me. Until I felt him. Or someone. Or just wishful thinking. Tad? Nothing. If you're there, kiddo, I could use a little help. But he wasn't a kiddo, not anymore. 4 decades had passed since Tad Trenton died in that hot car with a rabid St. Bernard patrolling the dooryard of a farmhouse, as deserted as the north end of Rattlesnake Key. The dead could age. I had never considered the possibility, but knew it now. But only if they wanted to, allowed themselves to. It was apparently possible to both grow and not grow. Paradox that had produced the gruesome hybrids I'd seen in the guest room's double bed. Man-things with the bloated heads of poisoned children. You don't owe me anything. I came too late. I know that. I admit that. Only, I stopped. You'd think a man could say anything when he's alone, wouldn't you? Only I wasn't entirely sure I was. Nor was I sure what I wanted to say until I said it. I warned you, Tad, but I let you go. In time, Donna did too. That's not wrong, is it? Forgetting is what would be wrong. Holding on too tightly, I think that makes monsters. I had the snake pull across my lap. If you left this for me, I really could use a little help. I waited. There was nothing. There was also something. Either presence or the hope of an old man who had been scared half to death and forced to remember old hurts. Every snake that ever bit him. Then the thoughts came back, driving away whatever delicate thing might have come to visit me. Dress us, roll us, see us. See us, dress us, roll us. The kids wanted me. The kids who wanted to be my kids, and they were also my thoughts. That was the horror of it. Having your own mind turned against you is a gilt-edged invitation to insanity. What interrupted them, partially at least, was the honking of a horn. I turned and saw someone waving to me, just a silhouette at the edge of the courtyard. But the shapes of the spindly legs beneath the baggy shorts were enough to tell me who my company was. I waved back, propped the snake pole against the gazebo's railing, and headed back along the boardwalk. Andy Pelly met me halfway. Good morning, Mr. Trenton. Vic, remember? Vic, right. I was out this way and thought I'd drop by. Bullshit you were, I thought. And I thought, roll us, dress us, see us, we're waiting for you. What can I do for you? I thought I'd fill you in on the autopsy. Officer Zane already called and told me. I couldn't see if he frowned at that because of the way his bushy mustache held his mask away from his face. But his eyebrows, also bushy, drew together, so I think he did. Well, good. Bullshit you think it's good, I thought, and thought, roll us. You'll feel better, you know you will. We walked back to the house. The boardwalk was too narrow for us to go side by side, so I led the way. The thoughts, mine, that I couldn't banish were giving me a headache. Still waiting on the toxicology, of course. We reached the end of the boardwalk and strolled across the courtyard, past this truck. Me still leading the way. He wasn't here just to tell me about the autopsy. I knew that, and knew I needed a clear mind to deal with him. So Officer Zane said, also, that I'll still have to be at the inquest. You have something for me, Deputy? Because I was sitting out there doing some thinking and trying to be peaceful. Meditation, you might call it. And I'll let you get back to it. Just a few questions is all. We went into the garage, where it was marginally cooler. I went to the stroller. As I neared it, the thoughts ramped up. Dress us! Roll us! See us! For a moment I did seem to see them, not as monstrosities, but as the children they'd been when they died. Just for a moment. When I gripped one of the stroller handles, they were gone, assuming they'd been there at all, and the maddening litany in my head ceased. I rolled the perambulator back and forth. Just something to do with my hands, Andy. Think nothing of it. I looked you up a little, Andy said. I know you did. Terrible thing what happened to your own little boy, just terrible. It was a long time ago. Andy, are you on this case? If there's a case? Were you assigned to it? Because somehow I doubt that. No, he said, raising his hands in a perish the thought gesture. But you know how it is. You can take the man out of the cops, but you can't take the cop out of the man. Probably the same in your business. Advertising, wasn't it? You know it was, and the answer is no. On the rare occasions when I watch network TV instead of streaming, I mute the ads. You really have no business here at all, do you? No, I wouldn't go that far. Man, I'm curious. This is a funny business, meaning funny peculiar, not funny ha-ha. You must see that. Back and forth went the stroller, a few feet ahead, a few feet back, soothing the kids, keeping them quiet. Why would she leave you everything? That gets me, and I bet you know. That was true, I did. I don't. And why do you keep bringing that stroller back from her place? Because it's got to be you, doesn't it? No one else out here this time of year. Not me. He sighed. Talk to me, Vic. Why not? If her talk screen comes back negative, you got away with whatever you got away with. So there it was. He thought I'd killed her. Help an old duffer out. It's just the two of us. I didn't like this Wilford Brimley look-alike who had interrupted me while I was trying something delicate. It probably wouldn't have worked, but that didn't make me feel any better about him, so I pretended to consider what he was asking for, and I said, "Show me your phone." Even the bulge of his mustache couldn't quite hide the smile on his mouth. Couldn't gauge the exact quality of that smile, but I'd be willing to bet it was of the you got me partner variety. The phone came out of the baggy shorts, and yes, it was recording. Must have hit that by accident. I'm sure now turn it off. He did so with no argument. Now it really is just the two of us, so satisfy my curiosity. All right. I took a dramatic pause, the kind that usually worked with clients before you unveiled the ad campaign they'd come to see, and then led with two lies followed by the stone truth. I don't know why someone keeps bringing her stroller back, that's number one. I don't know why she left that crazy will, that's number two. And here's number three, Deputy Pelly. I didn't kill her. The inquest goes a long way toward proving she died of natural causes. The toxicology report will go the rest of the way. I hoped it would. Hoped that the ghost twins hadn't somehow gotten into her head and compelled her to swallow a bunch of her heart meds so they could jump to a marginally more healthy host. You'd think a tox report showed she'd ingested too many pills, would run counter to their best interests. And you would be right, but they were children. Now I think you should go. I stopped rolling the stroller. And take this thing with you. I don't want it, he said, and seemed surprised at the vehemence in his own voice. He knew something was wrong with it. Oh, yes. He started out of the garage, then looked back. I'm not done with you. Oh, for God's sake, Andy, just do something else. Go fishing. Enjoy your retirement. He went back to his truck, got in, revved the engine, and peeled out hard enough to leave a rubber tattoo on the courtyard pavers. I thought I might as well go back to the gazebo, at least until the earworms started up again. Not really earworms. Snakes. Snakes in my head, 2 of them. And if I didn't do what they wanted, they'd inject their poison from sacks that never emptied. In a way, I didn't blame Pelly for his suspicions. Allie's lawyer, Rutherford, probably had some of his own. The whole thing was wrong. The most wrong thing of all was my current wretched position. What was unpleasant today would be terrible tonight. They were stronger at night. What had Jim the Bridger, keeper, said. Dusk, you know, real things seem thinner then.
Sorry, Dave.
It was true, and once night comes and the wall between real things and a whole other plane of existence can disappear completely. One thing seemed sure. Any chance of contacting my dead son was gone. The old cop had broken the spell. Best to just sit for a while looking out at the gulf, try to get Pelly, I'm not done with you, out of my mind. Think about what to do while I still could think. When I got to the gazebo, I just stood there, looking in. Pelly wasn't the only one not done with me, it seemed. Someone had made contact after all. The snake pole was no longer leaning against the railing, it was lying on the gazebo's floor. The litter of old life jackets had been pushed aside, scratched into one of the planks by a sharp point of the snake pole's hook, I had no doubt, were 2 letters. The third had been started but left incomplete. I looked at those letters and knew what I had to do. It had been staring me in the face all along. Jacob and Joseph, Heckle and Jekyll, Bad and Badder, weren't as all-powerful as they seemed. In the end, they only had one link to the world of the living now that their mother was gone. The 2 letters scrawled on the plank were PR. The one that had been started and then abandoned was the slanted bar of an A. Ram. If it could be all finished and done with when it's done, then it may as well be done quickly. That was Macbeth's idea about such matters as this, and he was a thinking cat. I believed I might be able to deal with my 2 hybrid harpies if I acted fast. If I didn't, and the thought snakes burrowed deeper into my mind, I might end with only 2 choices: suicide or life as their surrogate father, as their slave. I went back to the house and into the garage, just ambling along. Look at me, not a care in the world. The thoughts started up at once. I no longer need to tell you what they were. I took hold of the stroller's handles and rocked it back and forth, listening to the hellish squeaking. If I couldn't get rid of them, I'd oil the bad wheel. Of course I would. More? I'd drape different shirts over the backs of the chairs, put different shorts on the seats. When I took up residence in the Bell House, which would become the Trenton House, I would talk to them. I would turn down their beds at night and read them from In the Night Kitchen, Sylvester and the Magic Pebble, Corduroy. I would show them pictures. How are you, boys? Good, good. Do you want to go for a ride? Yes, yes. All right, why don't we do that? I just need to take care of a couple of things. I'll be right back. I went in the house and grabbed my phone off the kitchen table. I checked the county tide chart and liked what I saw. It was going out and would be at dead low shortly after 11 a.m. Soon. I was still wearing my workout shorts and a t-shirt with the arms cut off. I dropped the shirt on the floor, kicked off my sandals, and hurried upstairs. I put on a pair of jeans and a sweatshirt. I jammed on a Red Sox hat. I had no boots, but in the downstairs closet I found a pair of galoshes. They were Greg's and too big for me, so I went back upstairs and put on 3 more pairs of socks to bulk up my feet. By the time I was back downstairs, I was sweating in spite of the air conditioning. Outside in the August heat, I would be sweating even more. Andy Pelly said they'd driven the snakes to the northern end of the key, where those that didn't burn had drowned. but he had also said the line of beaters probably hadn't gotten all of them. I had no idea if the jays would call those that might be left. Maybe they couldn't, or maybe there weren't any at all after 40 years. But I had dressed for snakes just in case. One thing I did know was that Florida is a reptile-friendly environment. I looked under the sink and found a pair of rubber kitchen gloves. I yanked them on and went back out to the garage, pasting a big smile on my face. I'm sure if anyone had heard me talking to that empty stroller, they would have thought me as crazy as Allie Bell. But it was just me, and them, of course. Want to walk instead? Trying to sound teasing, trying to sell the concept, as we used to say. Big boys like you can probably walk, right? No! Roll us! Roll us! Will you be good if I take you on the beach? Yes, roll us, roll us. Then, chilling me all the way to my core, roll us on the beach, Daddy. Okay, I said, thinking only one boy ever had the right to call me that, you little shits. Here we go. We cut across the courtyard in the hot August sunshine. Squeak and squeak and squeak. I was sweating like a pig inside the sweatshirt already. I could feel it rolling down my sides to the waistband of my jeans. I pushed the stroller along the boardwalk, the slats rumbling under the wheels, easy enough so far. The beach would be harder. I might get bogged down. I'd have to stay near the water, where the sand was packed and wet. That might work, it might not. I rolled the pram through the gazebo. I picked up the snake pole on the way and placed it horizontally between the stroller's wide handles. Having fun, boys? Yes, yes. Sure you don't want to get out and walk? Please no. Roll us, roll us. Okay, but hold on. Little bump here. I eased the stroller down the single slumped step between the gazebo and the line of beach, napaca, and seagrass. Then we were on the sand. I had the slope to help me as I pushed the stroller down to the harder pack at the water's edge. The buckles of the galoshes jingled. Whee, I said. My face was running with sweat, but my mouth was dry. Having fun, boys? Yes, roll us. I was beginning to be able to tell them apart. That was Joe. Jake was silent. I didn't like that. Jake? Having fun, big fella? Yes. Didn't like the edge of doubt either. Something else not to like. They were separating from me. Getting stronger. More there. Some of it was the stroller, but some of it was me. I had opened myself to them. I had to. There had been no choice. I turned north and pushed the stroller. Little birds, the ones I called peeps, strutted ahead of us, then flew. The galoshes jingled and splashed. The wheels of the stroller threw up tiny rainbows in the thin water where the gulf gave way to the land. The sand was firm, but still harder to push through than on the planks of the boardwalk. Soon my breath was rasping in and out of my throat. I wasn't in bad shape, never drank to excess and never smoked at all, but I was in my 70s. Jake, where are you taking us? Oh, just for a little ride. I wanted to stop, take a rest, but I was afraid the wheels would get mired if I even slowed down. You want to go for a roll? I'm taking you for a roll. Jake, I want to go back. That was more than doubt. That was suspicion, and Joe caught it from his brother, just as I suppose he'd caught his brother's colds. Joe, me too. I'm tired. The sun is too hot. We should have worn our hatties. Just a little I began, and that was when the snakes began to come out of the napaca palmetto. Big ones, dozens of them, flooding down the beach. I hesitated, but only for a second. Any longer and the stroller would have been stuck. I pushed them through the snakes, and they were gone, like the ones in the tub. Jake, back, take us back, take us back! Joe, I don't like it here. He started to cry. I don't like the snakes. I don't like the snakies. We're treasure hunters. I was panning now. Maybe we'll even see King Kong like in the movie. How about that, you little rascals? Ahead I could see the triangle of a heap of shells where Rattlesnake Key ended. Maybe it was Daylight Pass with its eternal whirlpool. Andy said that Eddie had dug the bed of the pass deep there. I didn't remember how deep, 16 feet maybe, but those heaped shells between me and the water were a problem. The stroller would get bogged down in them, for sure, and crawling across them were a couple of snakes I didn't believe were illusions or ghosts. They were too there. Leftovers from the great snake hunt? Newcomers? It didn't matter. Jake not begging but commanding, "Take us back! Take us back, or you'll be sorry!" I'm sorry already, I thought. I couldn't say it aloud. I didn't have enough breath left. My heart was running amok. I expected it to simply burst like an overinflated balloon at any second. To my horror, the twins were swimming into existence. Their men bodies were too big for the stroller's double seats, but were in them just the same. Their swollen children's heads turned to look at me, eyes black and malevolent, the red pepper of snake bites stippling their cheeks and foreheads, as if they were suffering from an apocalyptic case of chickenpox. This pair of snakes was real, all right. Their bodies made a dry, shushing sound as their sinuous S-curves spiraled through the shells. Their tails rattled, dry bones in a gourd. Bite 'em good. Bite 'em, make 'em stop, make 'em take us back. When they struck, it felt like BBs hitting the rubber galoshes, or maybe hailstones. The stroller finally stuck fast, wheels deep in the shells. The men children inside it were twisted around, staring at me, but it seemed they couldn't get out, at least not yet. One of the rattlers was gripping my right foot through the galosh, its head spiraling up, because the stroller was stuck anyway, beached, so to speak. I let it go in favor of the snake pole. I plunged it down, hoping not to give myself a nasty gash, but knowing I couldn't afford to hesitate. I caught a loop with the hook and flung the snake toward the water. The other struck at my left goulash. For one moment I saw its black eyes staring up at me and thought they were the same eyes as the ones looking at me from the stroller. Then I brought the hook down and speared it behind its triangular head. When I raised the snake pole, I felt its tail thwop my shoulder, perhaps looking for a grip. I didn't find one. I flung it. For one moment it was a writhing scribble against the sky, then it was in the water. The stroller was rocking back and forth as the things inside it, visible yet ephemeral, struggled to get out. They still couldn't. The stroller was their link to the world and to me. I couldn't push it any further, so I dropped the snake pole and tipped it over. I heard them scream as they hit the shells, and then they were gone. By that I mean I could no longer see them, but they were still there. I could hear Jake shrieking and Joe crying. Sobbing, really, as he had probably sobbed when he realized he was covered with rattlesnakes and his too short life was ending. Those sounds made me sorry. I was sure my son had also cried while he and Donna were broiling in that pinto. But that didn't stop me. I had to finish what I started, if I could. Gasping, I dragged the stroller toward the paths, toward the whirlpool. No, you're supposed to take care of us, roll us, push us, dress us, no! His brother only shrieked with terror. I was 20 feet from the water's edge when flames burst up all around me. They weren't real, they had no heat, but I could smell kerosene. The stench was so strong it made me cough. The coughing turned into gagging. The blinding white heaps of shells were gone, replaced by a carpet of burning snakes. They weren't real either, but I could hear the popcorn sound of their rattles bursting in the heat. They struck at me with heads that weren't there. I reached the water. I could push the stroller in, but that wouldn't be good enough. They might be able to get the haunted thing out, just as they'd somehow managed to get it from the Bell House to Greg's. But I've been told that men or even women, small women, are sometimes able to lift cars off their trapped children. And once upon a time, a woman named Donna Trenton had fought a 150-pound St. Bernard with nothing but a baseball bat and won. If she could do that, surely I could do this. That stroller didn't weigh 150, but it might have gone 30 if the things had been in it. And if they'd also had actual weight, I never could have lifted it even to my waist. They didn't. I hoisted it by the struts above the back wheels. I twisted my hips to the right, producing an audible creaking from my back. I turned the other way and slung the stroller like the world's clumsiest discus. It splashed down only 5 feet from the edge of the shell beach. Not far enough, but the current from Calypso Bay was running strong with the ebbing tide. The stroller, tilting this way and that, was pulled into the whirlpool. They were in it again. Maybe they had to be in it. I got one more look at those terrible faces before they were carried away. When the stroller came back around, it was sinking, the seats underwater. Its occupants were gone. One of the shirts floated away, then the other. I heard a final shriek of anger in my head. That was Jake Bell, the stronger of the two. The next time the stroller came around on its watery carousel, only the handles were above water. The time after, it was gone except for a watery sun flash 3 or 4 feet down. The flames were also gone and the burning snakes. Only the stench of kerosene remained. A pair of blue shorts floated toward me. I picked up the snake pole, hooked them, and flung them out into the Gulf. My back creaked again. I bent over trying to soothe it. When I straightened up and looked across Daylight Pass, I saw a lot more than a few masses of floating green. Hugh McKee was there. It looked as real as the hand that had risen out of the tub of snakes, or the horrible hybrid beings lying in the guest room bed. I could see palm trees and a pink house standing on stilts, and I could see a man. He was tall, dressed in jeans and a plain white cotton shirt. He waved to me. "Oh my God," Donna said in the seconds before she died. "You're all grown up. Look how tall you are." I waved back. I think he smiled, but can't be sure because by then my eyes were filled with tears, making liquid prisms that quadrupled the brightness of the sun. When I wiped them away, Hugh McKee was gone, and so was he. On that note, boys and girls, we're going to go to our first music break. On this music break, we have Fluid with I Love It. We have Tamara Bubble with Laundry, Cute Panties, and Out the Mud. And then we have Griff with Best Life. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
I'm ballin', making buckets back to back like I was Stephen. Better yet, I'm Phil Jackson, so don't treat me like the next man. And I'm kind of a real big deal, so don't be out here second guessing. Anyway, I make my pay and live this California lifestyle. Sunshine, loud packs, and chicks that love to get wild. That's how we do it every day. Slipping, sliding through the traffic on a mission for the day. Clearing marks about my way. Really got no time for y'all today. And all the craziness y'all talk, but never get your story straight. See me out here living great. I don't give a about all that hate. And when it comes to kicking game, I give you all that you can take. Trying to do it big, got no complaints. Every morning eating steak. They say I'm wrong for showing out, but I'ma do it anyway. Plus and thing ain't nothing bitch, cause I can do it any day. And it don't matter where I go, I always represent the yay. I'm so in love with this lifestyle. Anything I want, I say the word, I get it right now. Boppers used to hate me, now they tell me I'm a tight now. Swagger through the roof, got everybody on my height now. So in love with this lifestyle. And I love it, and I love it, and I love it. So in love with this lifestyle. Anything I want, I say the word, I get it right now. See me, I'm out here getting it and loving how I live. Best believe if I do something, I'ma stoop what I stand for. Stacking while I'm macking, trying to earn myself a couple Lambos. Yeah, you know them toys for them big boys. Emperor of sorts and all you other players decoys. Meaning you're not the real deal. Keep an appetite for dollars that I never miss a meal. All you suckers need to chill. I'm just trying to stack a meal and pull the baddest bras around and love shorty sex appeal. Little bit of Netflix, then we chill. Lose them clothes, keep on them heels. Working like a 9 to 5 and go right back to chasing skrill. I bring that real, never that phony. BS, y'all be stressing, put it down just like an OG. Perform these cookies, take flight. Summer, y'all just out here acting. I'm a boss in real life. I'm so in love with this lifestyle. Anything I want, I say the word, I get it right now. Boppers used to hate me, now they tell me I'm a tight now. Swagger through the roof, got everybody on my height now. So in love with this lifestyle. And I love it, and I love it, and I love it. So in love with this lifestyle. Anything I want, I say the word, I get it right now. Keep it more 100 than a C note. Hall of Fame spitting, representing with these pimp quotes. Don't try to front, you know this shit's dope. Question is, will I ever fail? My answer is no. I make this hustling look amazing. Put it down, doper than a blunt of purple hazing. Spicy on the mic, I bring the fire like a Cajun. Scovilles, making haters sweat when I be blazing. Leaning to the side, haters everywhere. Yeah, I hear them talking, but they simply wasting air. Can't understand the reason that they stay in my affairs. But I'm major with my movements, getting money everywhere. I'm so in love with this lifestyle. Anything I want, I say the word, I get it right now. Boppers used to hate me, now they tell me I'm a tight now. Swagger through the roof, got everybody on my height now. So in love with this lifestyle. And I love it, and I love it, and I love it. So in love with this lifestyle. Anything I want, I say the word, I get it right now. So in love with this lifestyle. And I love it, and I love it. So in love with this lifestyle. Anything I want, I say the word, I get it right now.
Ayy, get up on that washer, hit the spin cycle till I come home. The way where I'm at, I'm out here breadwinning, so don't hit my phone. Shoulda never gave you treats like that. You got a sweet tooth and won't leave me alone. And every time I try to get some sleep, I wake up cause you doing me wrong. Sneaking up under covers, used to fight it, but I love it. Hate it that you got me weak, cause now we ruin all these sheets. Like who doing laundry? Who doing laundry? Who? You doing laundry? Who doing laundry? You doing laundry? Who? You doing laundry? Keep playing, think I'm playing. I'ma have you doing them dishes too. Better lick them plates clean, be grateful for this delicious food. Why you want no fours? What you scrubbing floors cause you want some more? But you like it dirty, you is so dirty, you like it dirty. Sneaking up under covers, used to fight it, but I love it. Hate it that you got me weak, cause now we ruin all these sheets. Like who doing laundry? You doing laundry? Who? You doing laundry? Who doing laundry? You doing laundry? Who? You doing laundry? Sneaking up under covers, used to fight it, but I love it. Hate it that you got me weak, cause now we ruin all these sheets. Like who doing laundry? You doing laundry? Who? You doing laundry? Who doing laundry? You doing laundry? Who? You doing laundry? First of all, I was sleeping. And second of all, why you creeping? Third of all up on me, rubbing like conditioner that you be trying to leave in. Relax, love, keep breathing. And I would say keep cleaning, but you like it dirty. You is so dirty. You like it dirty. Sneaking up under covers, used to fight it, but I love it. Hate it that you got me weak, cause now we ruin all these sheets. Like who doing laundry? You doing laundry? Who? You doing laundry? Who doing laundry? You doing laundry? Who? You doing laundry? Get up on that washer, hit the spin cycle till I come home. The way where I'm at, I'm out here breadwinning, so don't hit my phone. Shoulda never gave you treats like that. You got a sweet tooth and won't leave me alone. And every time I it dirty, yeah? Undercovers. Yeah, she like it dirty. You're so dirty. You like it dirty, yeah? Yeah. Bubble on that. Yeah. Real cute. Underwear. To be honest, I don't really wear many. I don't even really rock panties. Let me be clear, I'm used to getting a few new big pair each year from my granny. Couple sexy ones that might come off, and I done had way too much. Any a drunk text go out. They come and eat the sweet juicy pie down there. I'ma go that route. But now, nigga, wrong song. I only need a couple of bars to turn you on. That's why I started mentioning that lingerie, but pull her to the studio with some long johns. This verse about to take a turn for the worse, and all them cute panties gonna be long gone. Cause the hating niggas that I wrote it for, they ain't afraid of wordplay, that's why they wrote this for. So I'ma drive them wild. Thinking one day they might hit all about my voice shorts, G-strings, slutty thongs, even put them edible pennies on the cover so they wonder how that bubble tastes. You can stay mad, be miserable, old, predictable, maybe not even applicable. But yeah, you typical. Check your mans if it ain't you, cause way too many queens rocking shades cause they eyes black and blue. Way too many dudes putting hands on the brown. That make you feel like a man. Mishandling a weaker vessel, yeah, you saw. Yo, look, it's way too many dudes only wanna spawn. But ain't got no conversation, only wanna gossip when we talk. Why I keep seeing these grown dudes out in the broad daylight like some broad? Why I keep seeing these dudes letting these girls fighting on the stop to record? These little niggas online, the worst part, lame hoes got a squad. And all they do is dislike the females doing interviews with that nigga vlog. I be like, come in, big boy, take off them drawers. I just came from shopping, let me slip you into something real soft. Prefer the lace of satin or the silk, cause some pretty little rolls, they gon' hang off your balls. Look at you, sitting pretty, yeah. You the type that rock them cute pennies, yeah. Come here, you cute, yeah. Real cute, you hating on a female, cute, real cute. Why you mad we getting money? Maybe that's why you sag like them pennies shout. Oh, by the way, cute pennies, bro, real cute. Grown man, big boss, taking shots from a penthouse loft. Talking trash, he making big calls. Yep, then again, that's only till his phone got off. Come again, yeah, his phone got disconnected. But don't worry, he be back online hating in a second. Back at the crib, remember she paid her phone and the rent. Squashing nigga vegetable soft. Now he souped up in my mentions on some vegetable bro. Leaving comment at the comment, you that thirsty, drink vomit. I promise I ain't never seen nobody when had so much time to hate me. Be honest, is you mad at me? Or the fact that I'm grinding? It's a fact that I'm winning, son, I really be shining. Why you pressed on my diamond? You ready to swing on this little bitty girl, so don't tell me I'm lying. Way too many dudes putting hands on the broad. That make you feel like a man. Mishandling a weaker vessel, yeah, you saw. Yo, look, it's way too many dudes only wanna spawn. But ain't got no conversation, only wanna gossip when we talk. Why I keep seeing these grown dudes out in the broad daylight like some broad? Why I keep seeing these dudes letting these girls fighting on the stop to record? These little niggas online, the worst part, lame hoes got a squad. And all they do is dislike the females doing interviews with that nigga vlog. I be like, come in, big boy, take off them drawers. I just came from shopping, let me slip you into something real soft. You prefer the lace of satin or the silk, cause some pretty little rolls, they gon' hang off your balls. Look at you, sitting pretty, yeah. You the type that rock them cute pennies, yeah. Come here, you cute, yeah. Real cute, you hating on a female, cute, real cute. Why you mad we getting money? Maybe that's why you sag like them pennies shout. Oh, by the way, cute pennies, bro, real cute.
I get that feeling under me.
gonna live my best life. Don't care if my head ain't right. I'm gonna live my best life. Don't care if my head ain't right. I'm gonna live my best life. Don't care if my head ain't right. Do you and live your best life. Don't care if my head ain't right. Where you from? Who you with? Are you unplugged? Are you equipped? I do my thing, stay legit. In this world, no one's innocent. VIP, get bottles. One snap of my fingertips. See these haters like blah blah blah, blah 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 blah, talking gibberish. I'm gonna live my best life. Don't care if my head ain't right. I'm gonna live my best life. Don't care if my head ain't right. I'm gonna live my best life. Don't care if my head ain't right. Do you and live your best life. Don't care if my head ain't right. Rolling and rolling and rolling SUV. Rolling and rolling and rolling with my homies. Rolling and rolling and rolling SUV. Rolling and rolling and rolling with my homies. I'm going to live my best life. Don't care if my head ain't right. I'm going to live my best life. Do you live your best life? Do you live your best life? Do you live your best life? I'm going to live my best life. Don't care if my head ain't right. I'm going to live my best life. Do you live your best life? Do you live your best life? Do you live your best life? I'm gonna live my best life. Don't care if my head ain't right. I'm gonna live my best life. Don't care if my head ain't right. I'm gonna live my best life. Don't care if my head ain't right. Do you and live your best life. Don't care if my head ain't right.
Took only 10 minutes to roll the pram down to the end of the quay, or maybe it was 15. I was a little too busy to check my watch. Returning to the gazebo and the boardwalk took me 3/4 of an hour because my back kept seizing up. I undressed as I went, pulling off the gloves, peeling off the sweatshirt, kicking off the galoshes, sitting down on the sand long enough to pull off the jeans. Doing those things wasn't as painful as walking, but they hurt plenty. So did getting up from shucking the jeans, but I was lighter. And the horrible rat run of thoughts in my mind was gone. For me, that made the back pain, which continues to this day, a fair trade. I walked the rest of the way wearing only my shorts. Back in the house, I found Tylenol in Greg's medicine cabinet and took 3. The pills didn't kill the pain, but at least muted it. I slept for 4 hours, dreamless, blessed sleep. When I woke up, my back was so stiff that I had to make a plan. Step A, Step B, Step C. To sit up, get off the bed, and on my feet. I took a hot shower, and that helped some. I couldn't face using a towel, so I air dried. Downstairs, step by wincing step, I thought of calling Pele, but I didn't want to talk to him. No more than the fucking man in the fucking moon, Donna would have said. I called Zane instead. He asked how he could help me, and I said I was calling to report a missing stroller. Did someone from your department, Pele maybe, finally decide to come and pick it up? Huh? I don't think so. Let me check and call you back. Which he did eventually and told me no one from the county sheriff's office had picked up the stroller. No reason to, really, he said. Whoever brought it up here twice must have finally taken it back to her place, I said. He agreed, and that was where the matter of the haunted stroller ended. May 2023. Well, that was almost 3 years ago. I'm back in Newburyport and never want to visit the Sunshine State again. Even Georgia would be too close. Alita Bell's talk screen showed nothing suspicious, which took me off the hook. Nathan Rutherford saw to Allie's burying. He and I attended the funeral. So did Zane and Canavan, an old party named Lloyd Sunderland, accompanied by his dog, and half a dozen swing bridge operators. Andy Pele also attended. At the reception, he came up to me as I waited my turn for a Dixie cup of punch. The smell of whiskey wafted from below his mustache. There was no mask to mute it. "I still think you got away with something, bub," he said, and headed for the door, not quite straight, before I could reply. I testified at the Zoom inquest from Greg's house. There were no gotcha questions. In fact, the medical examiner gave me a strong attaboy for doing my best to keep the buzzards off the deceased until the proper authorities could arrive. No relatives ever came out of the woodwork to challenge Alita Bell's scrap of a will. Said scrap's trip through probate was a long one, but by June of 2022, everything that was hers was mine. Incredible, but true. I put the Bell property up for sale, knowing no one would want the house, which was fairly run down in spite of Allie's reputed handywoman skills. The land it stood on was a different matter. It sold in October of 22 for just shy of $7 million. Beta Golf, you know, prime real estate. Another McMansion will stand there soon enough. Allie's other assets totaled $6 million. After taxes and the other barnacles that attached to any large estate, that $13 million total boiled down to 4.5. A nice little windfall if you ignore the terrible children that were supposed to come with it. I put $500,000 in my retirement fund, call it for services rendered and a back that will probably pain me until I die. The rest I gave to the All Faiths Food Bank in Sarasota, which was very happy, over the fucking moon, Donna would have said, to accept the money. The only other exception I made was the $8,000 that went to Counselor Rutherford, Allie's funeral expenses. I stayed at Greg's house until after the inquest, when the matter of Alita Bell was officially closed. During that time, there were no visions and no squeaky wheels to trouble me. Of course, I still checked the courtyard and the garage for the stroller first thing each morning, even before putting the coffee on. It isn't just grief that leaves scars. Terror does, too. Especially supernatural terror. But the twins were gone. One day I asked Mr. Ito to show me the dip where Jacob and Joseph had come to grief on their fatal walk through the underbrush of the beach. He was willing enough, and after some casting about he found it. In fact, Mr. Ito almost fell into it, although it was hard to tell, being filled with napaka and tangles of oxeye daisies so big they looked like mutants. I thought it was about as long as Greg's luxurious tub in the master bathroom and almost as deep. I had the keys to the Bell house, and I went in there just once. I was curious about the final thing. Vision, hallucination, take your pick. I had experienced on the Shell Beach as I dragged the stroller toward the water. Flames, a carpet of snakes, the stench of kerosene. Twins had died before the great snake hunt, so how could they have known about it? The house was just as Allie left it when she took the ghost twins for their last stroll. By her, anyway. There was a plate in the sink with a knife and a fork laid across it. On the counter was a box of Wheaties with the bottom chewed out by some small foraging critters. I forced myself to look into the boy's bedroom. I had thought she would have kept it as it had been during Jake and Joe's short lives, and I was right. There were 2 twin beds. The sheets and pillowcases were printed with cartoon dinosaurs. Tad had exactly the same set. This realization horrified and in some way comforted me at the same time. I closed the door. On it, in colorful stick-on letters, was "The Kingdom of Twins." I didn't know what I was looking for, but I knew it when I found it. Henry Bell's study had also been kept as it was all those years before. Yellow legal pads were neatly stacked to the left of his IBM Selectric typewriter, folders to the right. On each side, like paperweights, were framed pictures. Joe on the legal pads, Jake on the folders. There was a picture of Allie looking impossibly young and beautiful on one wall. On another wall were 3 framed black and white photographs of the Great Snake Hunt. One showed men unloading trucks putting on smoke chaser packs called Indian pumps in those unenlightened days, and donning protective gear. Another showed men in a line beating the underbrush as they drove the snakes north. The third showed the triangle of Shell Beach as thousands of snakes charred and died in flames. I knew that Jake and Joe had haunted this house long before they had haunted mine. Perhaps Allie had even rolled them in here and showed them the photographs. "See, boys, that's what happened to the bad snakies that hurt you." I left. I was glad to go. I never went back. Just one more thing. Will Rogers said land is the one thing they're not making any more of, and in Florida land is gold, especially since the pandemic hit. And while they may not be making any more of it, reclamation isn't out of the question. The county has begun talking about reclaiming Duma Key. A consortium of real estate agents, including the one who sold Mrs. Bell's house for me, hired a remediation company to investigate the possibility. At the meeting, attended by the county commissioners and chaired by the county administrator, several experts from Land and Gold Inc. put on a PowerPoint lecture complete with an idealized artist's conception of Duma risen from the deeps. It would be relatively easy and inexpensive, they said. Just close Daylight Pass again, which would choke off the water's flow. A year or so of dredging, and there you have it. They are discussing it as I write this. The environmentalists are raising holy hell, and I give money every month to the Save Daylight Pass organization that is formed. But in the end, it's going to happen because in Florida, especially the parts where the rich tend to gravitate, money trumps everything. They will close the pass, and in the process they will surely find a certain rusty stroller. I'm sure that by then the awful things that inhabited it will be gone. Almost sure. If they're not, I hope they have no interest in me, because if there ever comes a night when I hear that squeaky stroller wheel approaching, God help me. God help me. Thinking of John D. MacDonald. The Dreamers. I don't know what the universe means. I might have an idea. You might too. Or not. All I can say to you is beware of dreams. They're dangerous. I found out. I did 2 tours in Vietnam, got out in June of '71. Nobody spit on me when I got off the plane in New York, and no one called me a baby killer. Of course, no one thanked me for my service either, so I guess that's a wash. This story, memoir, confession, has nothing to do with Nam, except it does. It does. If I hadn't spent 26 months humping the boonies, I might have tried to stop Elgin when we saw the teeth. Not that I would have had much luck with that. The gentleman scientist meant to see it through, and in a way he did, but I could have walked away at least. I didn't, because the young man who went to Vietnam wasn't the same young man who came back. The young man was empty, emotions scrubbed. So what happened? Happened. I don't hold myself responsible. He would have gone on regardless. I just know I stayed even when I knew we were edging past sanity. I suppose I wanted to wake myself up again. I suppose I did. I went back to Maine and stayed with my mother for a while in Skowhegan. She was doing all right. Assistant manager at George's Banana Stand sounds like a roadside stall, but it's a grocery store. She told me I'd changed, and I said I know. She asked me what I was going to do for work, and I said I'd find something in Portland. I said I'd do what I learned from Sissy, and she said that sounded good. I think she was glad to see the back of me. I think I made her nervous. I asked her once if she missed my father or my stepfather. She said my father. Of Lester, she said good riddance to bad rubbish. I bought a used car and drove to Portland and applied for work at a place called Tempo. The woman who took my application said, "I don't see where you went to school." She was Mrs. Frobisher. I didn't. Didn't what? Go to school. You don't understand, young man. We hire stenographers here to fill in when someone is sick or quits. Some of our temps work in district court. Try me, I said. Do you know Greg? Yes, I learned from my sister. I was helping her with her homework, but I turned out to be better. Where is your sister working? She died. I'm sorry to hear that. Mrs. Frobisher didn't sound sorry, and I didn't blame her. People have problems enough coping with their own tragedies without taking on the tragedies of others. How many words a minute? 180. She smiled. Really? Really? I doubt it. I said nothing. She handed me a pad and a number 2 Eberhard Faber. I'd like to see 180 in action. That would be a treat. I flipped open the pad. I thought of Sissy and me sitting on her room. She at her desk in a circle of lamplight and me on the bed. She said I was better than her. She said how I picked it up like a dream, which was true. It was like picking up Vietnamese also, the Tay and Muong dialects. It's not a skill, it's a knack. I could see words turning into pot hooks and hangers. Thick strokes, thin strokes, curls. They marched across my mind in lockstep. You could ask me if I liked it, and I'd say sometimes, the way a person likes breathing sometimes. Most of the time, you just do it. Are you ready? Born ready. We'll see about that. Then, very fast, the quality of mercy is not strained, it droppeth as the gentle rain from the heaven upon the place beneath. You can't just walk in off the street and say you can transcribe 180. It is twice blessed, both he who gives and he who takes. Now read that back to me. I read it back to her without telling her. She got to the last part of Portia's speech a few words wrong. She just looked at me for a few seconds and then said, I'll be goddamned. I worked at Tempo for the next 10 months or so. We were losing in Vietnam. It didn't take a genius to see it. Sometimes people don't stop when they should. Saying that makes me think of Elgin, the gentleman scientist. There were 4 of us when I started, then 6, then down to 3, then back up to 6 again. Temping was a high turnover job. They were all women except for Pearson, a tall drink of water with a bald spot he tried to cover, and eczema around his nose and the corners of his mouth. Around his mouth it looked like dried spit. Pearson was there when I came and there when I left. He could do maybe 60 words a minute on a good day. If he went too fast, he'd tell you to slow down. Slow down. I know because sometimes when it was slow, the bunch of us would race. 2 minutes of TV ads, washing liquid, toothpaste, paper towels, things women who watch daytime TV buy. I always won. After a while, Pearson wouldn't even try. He called it a childish game. I don't know why Mrs. Frobisher kept Pearson on. She wasn't fucking him or anything. I think maybe he was like something you get used to overlooking, like a pile of Christmas cards on the hall table that are still there come Valentine's Day. He didn't like me. I didn't feel one way or the other about him because that was how I rolled in 71 and 72. But it was Pearson who introduced me to Elgin, or so you could say. He didn't mean to do it. We'd come in around 8:30 or 9 and sit in the back room where in Exchange Street drinking coffee and eating donuts and watching a little portable TV on reading. Sometimes having a race. There were usually 2 or 3 copies of the Press Herald, and Pearson always had one of them, muttering away at the stories and rubbing at his eczema so it snowed down in flurries. Mrs. Frobisher would call for Anne or Diane or Stella if it was an ordinary job. I mostly got court if someone was out sick. I had to learn the stenograph and I had to wear a stenomask, but that was all right. I got sent to high-powered meetings sometimes where recording devices were verboten. Then it was just me and my pad. So far as I liked any job, I liked those. Sometimes I'd transcribe and then have to hand over my pad. That was all right. Sometimes I got tipped. Pearson used to drop sections of the paper on the floor when he finished them. Diane called that slutty behavior one day, and Pearson told her that if she didn't like it, she could just roll it small and stick it up her ass, and a week or 2 later, Diane left. Some days I would pick up the sections Pearson dropped and glance through them. The back room, which we called the bullpen, got boring when there were no jobs. The game shows and talk shows were tiresome. I always carried a paperback, but this one day, the day I found out about Elgin, although I didn't know his name just then because it wasn't in the ad, the book I was reading didn't engage my attention. It was a war book written by a man who didn't know anything about war. It was the ad section I got a hold of, cars for sale by owner on one page and help wanted on the other. I cast my eye down to the help wanteds, not exactly looking for another job. I was okay with tempo, just passing the time. The words gentleman scientist and boldface caught my eye, and the word phlegmatic, not a word often seen in classified ads. Gentleman scientist wants assistant to aid in series of experiments. Stenographic expertise a must, 60 to 80 words per minute or better. Excellent wages upon receipt of excellent references. Confidentiality and phlegmatic temperament also a must. There was a number. Curious to know who wanted a phlegmatic assistant, I called it, passing the time. That was Thursday noon. On Saturday, I drove 70 or so miles to Castle Rock in my used Ford and out Lake Road, which ended at Dark Score Lake. On the beach was a large stone house with a gated drive and a small stone house behind it where I came to live while in the employ of Elgin, the gentleman scientist. The house wasn't a mansion, but it was close. There was a Volkswagen Bug and a Mercedes in the driveway. The Bug had a main plate and a flower decal on the gas hatch and a bumper sticker saying, "Stop the War." I recognized it. The Mercedes had a Massachusetts plate. I thought it must belong to the gentleman scientist, which turned out right. I never knew where Elgin's money came from. Maybe gentlemen don't tell. What I thought was that he inherited it because he had no job so far as I could tell except for gentleman science and called the not quite a mansion his summer place. I don't know where the winter place was, probably Boston or one of those outlying suburbs where the only black or Asian faces you ever saw were pushing lawnmowers or serving lunch. I could have investigated these things, asked around town because town people have a way of knowing things, and if you ask the right way, they will always tell you. They want to tell you. Nothing passes the time like gossip, and I did know the right way having grown up in a small town myself and bleated my R's as good Yankees do, but that wasn't where I was at. As we used to say back then, I didn't care if it was Weston or Brookline or the Back Bay. I didn't even want the job or not want it. I wasn't sick or anything, but I wasn't a well man. You might understand that, or you might not. Most nights I didn't get much sleep, and darkness is full of long hours. Most nights I fought the war, and the war won. That's an old story, I know. You can see it on television once a week. I parked beside the bug. A young woman came out carrying a briefcase in one hand and a steno pad in the other. She was dressed in a skirt suit. It was Diane, lately of Tempo. "Hello, stranger," I said. "Hello yourself. You must be the next one. I hope you have better luck." "Didn't get it?" "He said he'd call me. I know what that means." "Is Pearson still there?" "Yes." "That fuck." She got in the bug and puttered away. I rang the bell. Elgin answered it. He was tall and thin with a wad of swept-back white hair like a concert pianist. He wore a white shirt and khaki pants with the crotch hanging down like he'd lost weight. He looked about 45. He asked me if I was William Davis, and I said I was. He asked me if I had a steno pad. I said I had half a dozen in the back seat of my car. "You better get one." I got one, thinking it would be Mrs. Frobisher all over again. He took me inside to the living room, which felt like it still held the ghost of winter when the house was empty and the lake turned to ice. He asked me if I had brought my resume. I took out my wallet and showed him my honorable discharge and told him that was my resume. I didn't think he'd care about me pumping gas or working as a busboy in the Headless Woman after I graduated high school. Since I got out of the Army, I've been working at an agency in Portland called Tempo. Your last one worked there, too. You can call if you want. Ask for Mrs. Frobisher. She might even let me keep my job if she finds out I'm looking for another one." "Well, why is that?" "Because I'm the best she has." "Do you really want this job? Because you seem, what's the word? Lackadaisical." "I wouldn't mind a change. That was true." "What about the wages? Want to know about them or how long the job lasts?" I shrugged. "Rolling Stone, are you?" "I don't know." That was also true. "Tell me, Mr. Davis, can you spell phlegmatic?" I spelled it. He nodded. "Because the last one couldn't, even though she must have read it in my advertisement." I doubt if she even knew what it meant. She looked flighty to me. Was she? When you worked together? I wouldn't want to say. He smiled. Thin lips, lines going down the sides of his mouth like you'd see on a ventriloquist dummy. Horn-rimmed specs. He didn't look like a scientist to me. He looked like he was trying to look like a scientist. "Where did you serve? Vietnam?" "Mostly." "Did you kill anyone?" "I don't talk about that." "Get any medals?" "I don't talk about that either." "Fair enough. When you say you're the best at Tempo, I've seen a couple of others from there, not just Diane Boyce-Net. How many words a minute are we talking about?" I told him. "I'm going to test you on that. I have to. If you're the best, that's what I need. Stenography will be the only record. Almost the only record. There will be no audio recordings of my experiments. No motion picture film. There will be Polaroid photograph, which I will keep if I publish and destroy if I don't." He waited for me to be curious, and I was, but not enough to ask. He would either tell me or he wouldn't. There was a stack of books on the coffee table. He picked up the top one and tested me from it. The book was Man and His Symbols. He spoke at a good pace, but not speeding along the way Mrs. Frobisher had. There was some technical jargon like activation synthesis and some difficult names like Anelia Jaffe and Brescia University, but I saw them correctly. That's what it is, a kind of seeing. I put them down even though he stumbled over the name of Jaffe, pronouncing it Jaff. I read everything back to him. "You are wasted at Tempo," he said. I had nothing to say to that. "You would live here during the course of my experiments in the guest house out back. Days off, plenty of free time. Do you have any medical skills as a result of your service?" "Some. I could set a bone and I could resuscitate someone if they were fished out of the lake in time, that is. I don't suppose you'd have any need for sulfapaks here?" "How old are you?" 24. You look older. Sure. Were you by any chance at Mile? Before my time. He picked up one of the books on the stack, Archetypes in the Collective Unconscious. He picked up another called Memories, Dreams, Reflections. He hefted them, seemed to weigh them in each hand as if on a balanced scale. Do you know what these books have in common? They're both by Carl Jung. He raised his eyebrows. You say his name correctly. Better than you say Anil Jaffe, I thought, but didn't say. Don't suppose you speak German? Ein wenig, I said, and held my thumb and forefinger apart. He took up another volume from the stack. It was called Gegenwart and Zukunft. This is my treasure, rare, a first edition. Present and future. I can't read it, but I can look at the pictures, and I've studied the graphs. Mathematics is a universal language, as I'm sure you're aware. I wasn't, because no language is universal. Numbers like dogs can be taught to do tricks, and the title of his first edition was actually Presence and Future. There is a world of difference between present and presence. A gulf. I didn't care about that, but the book under Gegenwart und Zukunft interested me. It was the only one not by Jung. It was Beyond the Wall of Sleep by H.P. Lovecraft. A man I knew in the docks, a door gunner, had a paperback copy. It burned up, and so did he. There was more talk. The wages, he supposed, were high enough for me to wonder if his experiments were strictly legal. He left me several opportunities to ask about them, but I didn't. Finally, he gave up teasing and asked me if I would like to hazard a guess about what his experiments would concern. I said dreams seemed likely, yes, but I think I will keep the exact nature of my interest, the thrust, shall we say, to myself for the time being. I haven't asked about the thrust, another thing I didn't bother to point out. He took a photo of my discharge papers with his Polaroid camera, then offered me the job. Of course you could keep working at Tempo, but here you would be aiding me as I explore realms no psychologist, not even Jung, has visited. Virgin territory. I said all right. He told me we would start in the middle of July, and I said all right. He asked for my phone number, and I gave it to him. I told him it was a rooming house phone and down the hall. He asked if I had a girlfriend. I said no. He wore no wedding ring. I never saw any help. I cooked my own meals once I moved into the little guest house, or ate at one of the cafes in town. I don't know who cooked his grub. There was something timeless about Elgin, as if he had no past and no future. He had a present, but no particular presence. He smoked, but I never saw him take a drink. All he had was his obsession about dreams. On the way out, I said, "You want to go over the wall of sleep, don't you?" He laughed at me. "No, I want to go under it." He called me on July 1st and told me to give my 2 weeks' notice. I did. I didn't think Mrs. Frobisher would tell me to never mind 2 weeks, just take a walk or roll it small, and she didn't. I was her best, and she wanted as much of me as she could get. He called me on July 8th and told me to move in when I finished work on the 14th. He said if I was living in the rooming house, I probably didn't have much. He was right about that. He said he had a task for me right away, a small one. My last interaction at Tempo was with Pearson. I told him he was an asshole. He had no reply. Possibly he agreed with the assessment. Possibly he thought I might strike him. I don't know. I drove around to the guest house and saw a keyring with 2 keys hanging down and a third stuck in the lock. 4 rooms, tidy. Warmer than the big house, probably because it was added later, after in-wall insulation became a thing. There was a fireplace in the living room and plenty of seasoned wood out back in a pile covered with a canvas tarp. I like a fireplace fire, always have. I didn't go around to the big house. I figured Elgin would see my car and know I was in. There was an intercom in the little galley kitchen and a fax machine beside it. I had never seen a home fax machine before, but I knew what it was, having seen a few in Vietnam headquarters. On the kitchen table was what looked like a scrapbook. A note taped to it said, "Familiarize yourself with these. You may want to take notes." I leafed through the book. I didn't take notes. My memory is good. There were 12 pages and 12 photographs under cellophane. Maybe it was isinglass. 2 were driver's license photos, 2 were headshots, 6 women and 6 men. They were all different ages. The youngest looked like a high schooler. Below the photographs were their names and occupations. 2 were college students, 2 were teachers, probably on their summer break. 1 was retired. The rest were what are known as blue-collar workers by people who don't do blue-collar work. Waitresses and store clerks, a carpenter, and a long-haul truck driver. There were eggs and bacon in the Frigidaire. I fried 4 eggs in bacon fat. There was a little deck on the side with a view of the lake. I ate there and looked at the water. When the sun was in the wedge between Mount Washington and Mount Jefferson, and gold across the lake, I went in and went to bed. I slept better that night than I had in 4 years. 10 hours of thoughtless, imageless darkness. That's what being dead must be like. On Saturday morning, I walked down to the lake shore. There was a bench. Elgin was sitting on it and smoking. Same white shirt and same long crotch khaki pants, or maybe different ones. I never saw him wear anything else, as if they were a kind of uniform. He asked me to sit down with him, and then I did. Get settled in all right? Yes. He took out his wallet from his hip pocket and handed me a check. It was from the Dream Corporation, LLC, and made out to me. The sum was $1,000. You can take it to the Key Bank in Castle Rock. That's where I have my accounts, both personal and corporate. You can open your own account if you like. Can I just cash it? Of course. Do you remember the first test subject in the book I left you? Yes, Althea Gibson, a hairdresser, looks to be about 30. Good memory. Is it eidetic? Given your stenographic speed and your knowledge of Vietnamese, I think it might be. So I had done some digging, made some calls, as they say. I suppose so. I picked up steno from my sister, helping her study. And you were better at it. I guess I was, but she landed right side up. Got a job in human resources at Eastern Maine Medical. Better pay. He didn't need to know she died, and I didn't want to tell him. You were a translator in Vietnam? Some of the time. Don't want to talk about it, that's fine. It's nice here, isn't it? Peaceful. Later in the day, there will be picnickers. The whine of the boats is annoying, but it goes on from Memorial Day to Labor Day. But the picnickers stay further down the beach. Your part is private. Yes, I like my privacy. Mr. Davis, I believe I'm going to change the world. You mean the world's understanding of dreams? No, the world. If I am successful, he got up, I'm going to send you a fax. Look it over. Mrs. Gibson will be here at 2 o'clock on Tuesday afternoon. I'm paying her to close her hairdressing shop. You will greet her and show her in. I will want to show you the setup before, say noon, in case she comes early. All right. Read the facts. If you have comments, use the intercom. Otherwise, you were off until Tuesday. He offered his hand. I stood up to shake it. I was struck again by his timeless look, a kind of serenity. He believed he was going to change the world. He really believed it. The facts shrieked in while I was making coffee. There was a release for his test subjects. I wondered again about the legality of this particular op. There were spaces for the test subject to print her or his name, address, and phone number. Below that it said that the undersigned had been informed and agreed to a light hypnotic drug being administered before the test run. It said the drug would wear off in 6 hours or less and that the test subject would feel fine. Since Elgin would be the one administering the drug and I wouldn't be on the hook if something went wrong, I had no comments. I will admit I was becoming a little more interested. I thought it was possible that Elgin was crazy. After Vietnam, I had a nose for it. I went downtown and bought groceries. The bank was open until noon. I started an account and deposited the check, taking $100 in cash. There was nothing about waiting for the check to clear, so they knew he was good for it. I had lunch at the Castle Rock Diner, then went back to the guest house and took a nap. There were no dreams. On Tuesday, I went to the big house at noon. Elgin was waiting on the stoop. Inside on the left was the living room where he had looked at my discharge papers and showed me his books by Jung. On the right were double doors. He opened them. It used to be a dining room, but was now where he meant to conduct his experiments. It had been partitioned into by a wall that looked made of plywood. One half of the room was for his test subjects. There was a couch with the head lifted and the feet lowered, like a psychiatrist's couch. On one side of the couch was a Polaroid camera mounted on the tripod and pointed down. On the other side was a small table with a blue horse tablet open to the first blank page and a pen. So he expected his subjects to write notes, or thought they might? Probably what they dreamed while the dreams were fresh. There were Bose speakers mounted on the walls. In the middle of the plywood wall facing the raised portion of the couch was a mirror, and you'd have to be someone who never watched a cop show on TV not to know it was one-way glass. On Elgin's side of the wall was a desk and another Polaroid on a tripod, looking through the one-way glass and pointed to the couch. There was a microphone on the desk. There was a row of buttons. There were more speakers on the walls. There was a Philips stereo system with a record on the turntable. There was a chair by the one-way glass. "That's for you," he said, pointing at the chair. "Your post, where you will sit and watch. You have a fresh pad?" "Yes." "You will take down everything I say. If Mrs. Gibson says anything, you'll hear it from the speakers on this side and take that down. If you don't understand what she says, often what a person says while sleeping is unintelligible, draw a double line." "If you had a tape recorder," I began, but he waved that off. "I told you there will be no audio, no film, only Polaroids. I control the sound system and both cameras from the desk." No audio, no film. Roger that. There was also no medical equipment of any kind, no way to record the brainwaves of his subjects or REM sleep. It was crazy, but the check hadn't bounced, so I was okay with it. I saw no excitement on his face, could detect no nervousness, just that serenity. He was going to change the world. He was 5 by 5 on that. Althea Gibson showed up 15 minutes early. She was one of the two who had sent Elgin a headshot, probably taken by a professional photographer who had used a ring light to make her look a bit younger. She was about 40 and on the portly side. I met her at her car and introduced myself as Mr. Elgin's assistant. "I'm a little scared," she said while we walked to the house. "I hope I'll be all right. Will I be all right, Mr. Davis?" "Sure," I said, "easy as falling off a log." They say truth is stranger than fiction, don't they? Here was a woman at the end of a country road that dead-ended at a private beach, talking to a man she had never met before, and had she met Elgin or only talked to him on the phone? She didn't think anything bad would happen to her, even though she had been told she would be taking a drug described as light hypnotic. She didn't think that because bad things happened to other people on the TV news. Was it lack of imagination that she had never thought about rape or a shallow grave or only the close horizon of her perception? That raises questions about what imagination and perception even are. Maybe I was thinking a certain way because I had seen certain things. On the other side of the world, where bad things happen to people all the time, sometimes even to hairdressers. For $800, how could I refuse? She lowered her voice and said, "Am I going to get high?" "I really don't know. You're our first." "What?" "Our first customer." "You're not going to take advantage of me, are you?" Said in a joking way that meant she hoped she really was joking. "Or him?" "Nothing of the sort," Elgin said, coming down the hall to greet her on the stoop. He had a little flat case like a recon officer's map case on a strap over one shoulder. "I'm safe as can be, and so is Bill." He held out both of his hands and took both of hers and gave them a brief squeeze. "You are going to enjoy this. It's a promise." I gave her the release form, which was probably about as legal as a $3 bill. She gave it a cursory skim, filled in the blanks at the top, signed at the bottom. She was living her life and did not believe it would end or even change. Blindness to possibility is either a blessing or a curse. You choose. He led her to the couch in the former dining room and took a beaker of clear liquid from his case. He pulled the rubber stopper and gave it to her. She took it gingerly as if it might be hot. "What is it?" "A light hypnotic, as I told you. It will put you in a serene state, and from there it may lull you to sleep. There will be no side effects and no hangover. It's quite harmless." She looked at the beaker, then made a toasting gesture at me, and then said, "Over the teeth, over the gums, look out, tummy, here it comes." She tossed it off easy as that, truth being stranger than fiction, then looked at Elgin. "I expected a kick, but there wasn't one. Are you sure it wasn't just water?" "Mostly water," he said with a smile. "You'll be back in your car and headed home to, where's it you live? Refresh me." "North Wyndham. Back in your car and headed back to North Wyndham by 4 o'clock with a check for $800 in your purse. In the meantime, relax and I'll tell you what I want you to do. It's quite simple." He took the beaker and returned the stopper and put it back in his little case where there was a loop to hold it. He took out the only other thing in the case. It was a picture of a small house in the woods. The house was painted red. It had a green door atop 2 stone steps and a brick chimney. He handed it to her. "I'm going to play some music, very soft and very calm. I want you to listen to it and look at this picture." "Ooh, I'm feeling it now," she smiled. "It's like from smoking a doob. Mellow." "Look at the picture, Mrs. Gibson, and tell yourself you want to see what's inside that house." I was writing all this down, G for Gibson and E for Elgin. Hot hooks racing across the page of a virgin steno book, doing what I was being paid to do. "What is inside it?" "That's up to you. Perhaps you will dream of going inside, then you can see for yourself. Will you try to do that?" "If I don't dream of the inside of the house, do I still get to keep the $800? "Absolutely, even if you just have a pleasant little nap." "So if I Do go to sleep. Will you wake me up by 4? She was starting to drift. My neighbor is picking up my daughter at school, but I have to be back by 6 to make her supper? Yes, her supper. Look at that green door. I would never paint a green door for a red house. Too Christmassy. Look at the picture. I am. Dream of the house. Try to go inside. The hypnotist chant. All right. I thought she was already under. I thought if Elgin asked her to bark like a dog, she'd give it a try. Go inside and look around. All right. Go to the living room. All right. Not inside, just the doorway. Do you want to tell me? Want me to tell you what it looks like in the living room? The furniture, what kind of wallpaper, things like that? No, I want you to kneel down and look for a crack in the floor, right there in the living room doorway. Will there be one? I don't know, Mrs. Gibson. Althea, it's your dream. If there's a crack, put your fingers in it and lift up the living room floor. She gave him a dreamy smile. I can't lift up a floor, silly. Maybe you won't be able to, but maybe you will. Things are possible in dreams that would otherwise not be. Like flying. The dreamy smile got bigger. Yes, like flying. He sounded a little impatient with that idea, although to me the idea of flying in dreams seemed as logical as anything else about them. According to Jung, dreams of flying indicated the core psyche's desire to break free of the expectations of others, or even more difficult, usually impossible, the expectations of the self. Lift up the floor, see what is beneath. If you remember when you wake up, write it down on the pad I've provided for you. I'll ask you a few questions. If you can't remember, that's all right. We'll be back soon, won't we, Bill? We left the patient, half of the former dining room, and went into the other half. I took my seat in front of the one-way glass with my pad on my knee. Elgin sat at the desk and pushed one of his buttons. The record turned. The tone arm went down, and the music started to play. It was Debussy. Elgin pushed another button, and the music in our half of the experimental station stopped, but I could still hear it in Mrs. Gibson's half. She was looking at the picture. She giggled, and I wrote. Not in Greg, but in plain. G laughs at 2:14 p.m. Time passed, 10 minutes by my watch. She studied the picture of the house with the close attention only those who are quite seriously stoned can attain. Little by little it began to sag in her hand. With the head of the couch facing us, I could see the way her eyes slipped closed and then opened. Her lips, dressed in bright red, softened. Elgin was now standing next to me, bent forward with his hands on his knees. He looked like a bird colonel I knew over there in the other world, watching through his binoculars as the F-100Ds of the 352nd came in low over Bien Hole. Pregnant with the fire jelly, they would drop in an orange curtain, burning a miscarriage in the belly of the green, turning part of the overstory to ash and skeleton palms. The men and women, too, them calling Nantu, Nantu, to no one who could hear or care if they did. The picture of the house settled to her belly. She was asleep. Elgin went back to the desk and turned off the music. He must also have turned up the sound in our part because I could hear her snoring, very slightly. He came back and resumed his former position. The Polaroids on timers flashed every 30 seconds or so. The one on our side and the one on the side of Gibson. Each time they flashed, a picture extruded, with that cat-like whirring sound they make, and fell on a floor. I saw something 3 or 4 minutes after she fell asleep and leaned forward. I didn't believe it, the way you don't believe anything that runs contrary to the way things are supposed to be. But it was there. I rubbed a palm across my eyes, and it was still there, Elgin, her mouth. I see it. Her lips were slipping apart and her teeth were rising between them. It was like watching something volcanic rising from the ocean. Only there were no sharp points except, I guess, for the canines. Not fangs or animal teeth. They were her teeth, just longer and bigger. Her lids folded back, revealing their pink lining. Her hands were jerking, flipping back and forth, fingers wiggling. The Polaroids flashed and whined. 2 more times in there, 2 more times in with us. The photos fell to the floor, then the cameras were out of film. Her teeth began to retract. Her hands gave one more jerk. The fingers seemed to play an invisible piano. Then that stopped too. Her lips closed, but there was a faint red ghost on her philtrum, where the upper one had pressed a lipstick tattoo. I looked at Elgin. He looked serene and didn't. I got a brief glimpse of what was underneath his serenity, the way a bank of clouds at the end of the day rift apart just enough and just long enough to see the blood-red glare of the setting sun. If I ever doubted the gentleman scientist was the gentleman mad scientist, that was the end of that. Did you know what was going to happen? I asked. No. 20 minutes later, at 2:58 p.m., Mrs. Gibson began to stir. We went in and Elgin shook her all the way awake. She came from sleep with no in-between muzziness, just stretched with her arms spread wide as if to embrace the whole world. Gee, that was wonderful. A wonderful nap. E. Good. What did you dream, do you remember? G. Yes. I went inside. It was my grandfather's house. The same Seth Thomas clock in the front hall, what my sister and I used to call Grandpa's tick-tock. E. And the living room? G. It was Grandpa's too. The same chairs, the same couch, slippery horsehair, the same table, model TV with the vase on top. I can't believe I could remember it all, but you said you didn't care about that. E. Did you try to lift the floor? G. After a long pause. Yes, I got it a little way. What did you see? Darkness. The cellar, then? After a long pause. I don't think so. I put it down. The floor. It was heavy. Anything else when you lifted the floor? There was a bad smell. A stink. Long pause. Stench. That evening I went down to the beach and Elgin was on the beach and I sat down beside him. Do you transcribe your notes, William? Flicking his lighter open and closed. I will tonight. What was in that beaker? Nothing remarkable. Clorazepam. Not even a clinical dose. Very diluted. No drug would do what we saw. No, but it rendered her suggestible. I told her what to do and she did it. Access the reality beneath the dream, if you will, assuming there is such a thing, reality being what it is or isn't. On that note, you guys, we are going to go to our second music break. On this break, we have Griff with Let Freedom Ring, and Zoo. We have Prime Example featuring Miss Carolyn Giles with Dancing Machine. And Miss Tamara Bubble with Pringles. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this music break.
Okay, yo, here's the scoop. You can still be a slave, you're whipping loop. That's
that's the truth. Got big houses, nice cars, that's real cute, but it doesn't mean nothing, you ain't free to choose. When I say free to choose, no alarm clock, don't gotta hit the snooze. The world is backwards, I'm so confused. They say freedom of speech, but when you speak your mind, they blow a fuse. Just being honest, common sense and common, it's kind of ironic. My freedom, I recently bought it, now I'm a target. If I do the wrong thing or say the wrong thing, come on man, let freedom ring. Yeah. United States become divided states. The world is filled with all kinds of shades, and still resegregate. Parents separate from the children, that's not okay. We should be free to laugh and play. Do it now before you pass away. Fight for what's right, enough for everybody to get a piece of the pie. Brainwash, social media full of lies. Go to work, pay bills, then you die. Need a breakaway, guns, get rid of the AKs. Our ancestors paved way since the slave days, but we still hurting. Carry that burden. Stop playing victim, beat the system. Love is love, it should be shown. Can't grow unless you leave your comfort zone. This I know, I learned all this from the mentorship. Kids don't know what independent is. Take advantage what your parents did. Go against the grid, you have to. Like going to the bathroom, learn the right songs. Cause of Matthew, liberty like statue. They call now the present, cause it's a gift. It should be cherished, last name fearless, not Harris. All thanks to my parents' parents. Now, love the last name every time that I hear it, cause I know what it represents. Climb the fence, so now I got freedom. Such a beautiful thing. Freedom. Such a wonderful thing. Freedom. Such a beautiful thing. Freedom. Such a wonderful thing.
but can we be friends? I can't let this night just end. I really wanna know if I can see you again. Give me your number, we'll get back on the scene. We can hit another club if that's your thing. We'll be partners in crime, you and me, as we ripping up floors like two dancing machines.
She was a loompa loompa, now her body super duper. Getting a lot of attention she was never used to. Hitting me up like I was Uber. Got a few miles, so I guess she's a cougar. Real winner, never seen her with a loser. Gorilla talk, ooga booga booga. Scuba, tuba, diver, I'm a rider. Getting cider, sweet like cider. Fighter, fighter, rider. Neither wants to get it going. Know it, hold it, fold it, blow it. Wait, I'm joking. Cages broken from these beasts. From down east on the streets, it's a zoo. All I want to do right now is leave this zoo. All I wanna do. All I want to do right now is leave this zoo for good.
been poppin' like
Pringles in the can. All the money really got me dancing. Pringles in the whip. I be stacking them chips like Pringles in the can. All the money really got me dancing. Big baby money grip. I be stacking them chips. Pringles in the can. All the money really got me dancing. Pringles in the whip. I be stacking them chips like Pringles in the can. All the money really got me dancing. Big baby money grip. I be stacking them. I ain't never been afraid of a strange beat. New track from the crates, but the same me. Lights on, bills paid, bring the same heat. Couldn't picture me spend the same unless you bring me. Low key, humble brag, never change me. New money coming in the bank's changing. The quarters to dollars, the checks every hour. That money come in when I sleep or I shower. That's motivation, that dedication. I can see my dreams, I'm already chasing. That bezel clean, watch me embrace it. I'm a single girl that already taken like a stick-up kid. They already shaking. Old Harlem, Brooklyn, being known for break-ins. Bubble on deck, being known for caking. Stacking and saving that move up out the hood money. This that, we been eating good money. This that, really wish you would, homie. This that, see you laughing but broke ain't funny. So get up out the hood, homie. Ain't no rentals over here, dummy. And no, they don't really think that we own it. We been poppin', look on. Love the money, but the money live a long time it on. Yeah, them bills, so got the money with my own ground. That move up out the hood money. This that, we been eating good money. This that, really wish you would, homie. We been poppin' like Pringles in the can. All the money really got me dancing. Pringles in the whip. I be stacking them chips like Pringles in the can. All the money really got me dancing. Big baby money grip. I be stacking them chips. Pringles in the can. All the money really got me dancing. Pringles in the whip. I be stacking them chips like Pringles in the can. All the money really got me dancing. Big baby money grip. I be stacking them. I ain't never been afraid of investing. I'm talking more than dice games and I'm scratch offs. Lottery jackpots and hundreds of millions. So who you think they making money on the backs of? Ain't no gambling today. Ain't no gambling with my money that I built up. Got my money strong and my money long. My money's on. Not one business but no business. Natural growth, I mean no business. New growth like my natural hair. Yeah, I'm 10 toes down in the show business. Like back up off, man. Ain't no move around, no business. Bring the track up with the tracks out in the both ways. Steady running your mind, talking this and that. But it's that, move up out the hood money. This that, we been eating good money. This that, really wish you would, homie. This that, see you laughing but broke ain't funny. So get up out the hood, homie. Ain't no rentals over here, dummy. And no, they don't really think that we own it. We been poppin', look on. Love the money, but the money live a long time it on. Yeah, them bills, so got the money with my own ground. That move up out the hood money. This that, we been eating good money. This that, really wish you would, homie. We been poppin' like Pringles in the can. All the money really got me dancing. Pringles in the whip. I be stacking them chips like Pringles in the can. All the money really got me dancing. Big baby money grip. I be stacking them chips.
Welcome back, and thanks so much for hanging out with me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. All right, we're getting back to Stephen King's book, which has been pretty dang good. You Like It Darker stories. No, but it rendered her suggestible. I told her what to do, and she did it. Access the reality beneath the dream, if you will, assuming there is such a thing. Reality being what it is or isn't. What it did to her teeth. Yes, the serenity was back. Remarkable, wouldn't you say? Proof. The Polaroids show it, in case you think we were sharing a hallucination. The idea never crossed my mind. What are you doing? Now, you ask. Yes, now I ask. Have you considered existence, William? Really considered it, because few people ever do. Considered it and seen the end of it. You mean war? Yes. But wars are human affairs in relation to the universe, which encompasses all existence, including time both backward and forward. Human wars mean no more than those you might see in an anthill with a magnifying glass. Earth is our anthill. The stars we see at night are just eternity's first inch. Someday, telescopes, perhaps hurled into space as far as the moon or Mars or beyond, will show us galaxies beyond galaxies, nebula hidden behind other nebula, wonders unthought of, on and on to the edge of the universe, beyond which another universe may await, and consider the other end of that spectrum. He laid his Zippo aside and bent over and picked up a fistful of beach sand and let it run through his fingers. 10,000 tiny flecks of the earth in my fist, maybe 20,000 or even 50, each one composed of a billion or trillion or googolplex of atoms and protons whirling their courses. What holds it all together? What is the binding force? Do you have a theory? No, but now I have a way to look. You saw it today, so did I. Suppose our dreams are a barrier between us and this never-ending matrix of existence. The binding force, suppose it's conscious. Suppose we could defeat that barrier not by trying to go through it, but by looking under it. Like a kid peeking under a circus tent to see and show going on inside. Barriers are usually there for a reason. He laughed as if I'd said something funny. Do you want to see God? I want to see what's there. I may fail, but what we saw today makes me believe that success is possible. The floor of her dream was too heavy for her. I have 11 more test subjects, and one of them may be stronger. I should have left then. We had 2 more subjects in July. One was a female carpenter named Melissa Grant. She dreamed of the house but couldn't get inside. The door was locked against her, she said. One was the owner of a bookstore in New Gloucester. He said his shop was probably going to go under, but he wasn't ready to give up, and $800 would pay for another month's rent, and a shipment of books few people would buy. He slept for 2 hours while Debussy played and said he didn't dream of the house at all, but of his father, dead for 20 years. He said he dreamed they went fishing. Elgin gave him his check and sent him on his way. There was one more July appointment on our schedule, a man named Norman Bilson, but he never showed up. On the 1st of August, a man named Hiram Gaskill came to the house at the end of Lake Road. He was a construction worker who had been laid off. He kicked away his boots and took the couch. He said, "Let's get to it," and drank down the contents of the beaker with no questions. He looked at the picture, and at first I didn't think the drug was going to work on him. He was a big fellow, probably close on to 270, but eventually he dropped off and began to snore. Elgin stood in his usual position beside me, bent forward, vulture-like, so his nose almost touched the glass and his breath fogged it. Nothing happened for almost an hour, then the snoring stopped, and still sleeping Gaskell groped for the pen resting on the open pad of blue horse paper. He wrote something on it without opening his eyes. "Note that," Elgin said, but I already had. Not in Greg, but in plain. At 3:17 p.m., Gaskell writes for approximately 15 seconds, drops pen, sleeping again now and snoring. At 3:33, Gaskell awoke on his own and sat up and swung his legs off the couch. We went in and Elgin asked him what he had dreamed. "Nothing. Sorry, Mr. Elgin. Do I still get the money?" "Yes, that's all right. Are you sure you remember nothing?" "No, but it was a good nap." I was looking at the pad of paper and asked him if he'd served. "No, sir, I did not. Went to the physical and they said I had high blood." take pills for it now. Elgin looked at the pad and what was written there. When Gaskell was gone in his old pickup truck, leaving a blue cloud of exhaust for the wind to fritter away, Elgin tapped the single line which had been neatly printed even though the man running the pen had his eyes closed. That look of excitement, of triumph, was in his face. This isn't his writing. Nothing like it. He laid down Gaskell's release form beside the tablet. The name and address on the form were in the hand of someone who wrote seldom and found it laborious. Although we had background on Elgin's subjects, no more than Elgin had actually scientific equipment to test his subjects with. Gaskell's laborious printing suggested that a man who had only completed as much schooling as the state of Maine required, and that unwillingly except perhaps for the shop courses. The printing on the pad was neat and precise, although there were no diacritical marks over the words where they should have been, and the spelling was not correct. It was as if Gaskell had been writing what he heard, taking dictation like any steno would do, which raised the question of who had been giving it. Vietnamese? It is, isn't it? That's why you asked if he served. Yes, of course it was. Mat Trang Dad De Hua Mag Pai. What does it say? It says the moon is full of demons. That evening, when I went down to the water, Elgin was on the bench, again smoking. The water was gray as slate. There were no boats on it. The sky was crowded with thunderheads coming in from the west. I sat down. Without looking at me, Elgin said, "That message was meant for you." Of course it was. He knew you were in Vietnam. More, he knew you knew the language. Something new. Lightning hit the water a mile out, electrocuting whatever fish happened to be near the surface. They would float in and feed the gulls. The rain would come soon. The hills on the far side of Dark Score had disappeared behind a gray membrane that would soon descend on our side. It could be time to stop. Something on the other side of your barrier is saying, "Don't fuck with me." He shook his head and without looking away from the coming rain. "Not at all. We're on the verge. I feel it. I know it." Now he turned. "Please don't leave me, William. I need your skills more than ever. If I publish, I will need your raw notes, not just the photos and the transcriptions, and you are a witness." Not just a witness. It had been me that Gaskell, or whatever came into Gaskell, had singled out, not Elgin. The gentleman scientist was fooling with something dangerous and knew it, but either wasn't willing to stop or couldn't, and in the end those things come to the same. I could stop, which made me a fool to go on, but there was another factor. Something had happened to me. I had grown curious. It was welcome and dreadful in equal measure. It was a filling, and in my world those had been in short supply. You see a man with his legs gone and his face sliding off even as he screams in agony. You see his teeth on his shirt like a barbaric necklace. And know you were standing where he got it only seconds before, and it stuns your feelings the way hitting a rabbit with a junk of firewood will stun it and lay it out flat on the ground, sides heaving but eyes far away. And when those feelings start to return, you see the possibility that your humanity isn't as gone as you thought it was. I'll stay. Thank you, William. He reached out and squeezed my shoulder. Thank you. The rain came mixed with hailstones that stung like bees. He went back to the big house, and I went back to the small one. Hail rattled on the windows. The wind, I dreamed that night of a hollow moon filled with demons eating each other alive, eating themselves alive like the worm Ouroboros. I could see the red house below, hollow moon, the green door. We saw two more before the end came. The sixth, a woman named Annette Crosby, screamed herself awake. When she calmed down, she said she dreamed of a red house and opening the green door and then remembered nothing except for darkness and wind and a foul odor and a bodiless voice that spoke a word that sounded like Tantula or Tamtusha, but it filled her with horror. She said she would not dream of that house again for another 800 years, or $800, or 8,000. But she took Elgin's check. Why not? She earned it. Then came Bert Devereaux, a teacher of mathematics at St. Dominic Academy in Lewiston. He filled in the form and before signing asked Elgin several questions, more than the others had about light hypnotic he would have to take. Elgin answered these questions to Devereaux's satisfaction. He signed the form, took his place on the couch, and quaffed the beaker of clear liquid. I took my seat before the one-way glass with my pad on my knee. Elgin sat behind the desk and started the music. In the testing room, Mr. Devereaux was studying the picture of the red house with the green door. Eventually, his eyes began to slip closed and the picture began to sag in his hand. It was like every one of our other test runs until it wasn't. I was in my chair. Elgin was in his place beside me. 10 minutes passed, eyes closed. Devereaux reached for the pad and the pen resting on the upturned page, then dropped his hand. It began to clench and unclench. The other hand rose up, hesitated, then moved swiftly. I wrote in plain, 3:29 p.m. Dev raises right hand and makes a fist and hits self in cheek. He's trying to wake himself up, I said. Devereaux began to shiver all over like a man suffering a fit of ague. His eggs jittered and scissored. His back arched. His midsection rose from the couch and thumped down and rose again. His feet tap danced and he began to make a sound. Mp, 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 as if his lips were spit stuck and he was trying to get them open to articulate. We need to wake him up. Wait. Jesus, Elgin, wait. The Polaroids flashed. Their cunning inbred motors whirred. Pictures fluttered to the floor, and our part and his part already starting to develop. His eyelids began to bulge until the eyes beneath must have swelled almost to the size of golf balls, as if from an infusion of hydrostatic fluid. The lids didn't open naturally, but split apart. Devereaux's eyes had been gray. The eyes which continued to protrude from their sockets were dead black. They grew like tumors out of his face. Elgin's hand was clamped on my shoulder, but I barely felt it. Neither of us asked what was happening, not because we couldn't believe it, but because we could. We might as well have been witnessing a locomotive emerging from a fireplace. Devereaux screamed and his eyeballs split and fine tendrils wavered up like dandelion filaments, only black. There was no breeze to blow them, but they bent toward the one-way glass as if sensing us. Oh my God, Elgin. Polaroids flashed. The back tendrils separated from the black orbs that had given them birth and drifted toward us. At first in a small cloud, but beginning to melt and disappear as they came. I need them, Elgin shouted. I need them. Proof, proof. He started for the door. I grabbed him and held him back. He struggled, but I was stronger. I wasn't going to let him go in there, not because I cared for him enough to save him from himself, but because I didn't want him to open that door and let any of them out. The The split black eyeballs began to retract toward Devereaux's face like a film run in reverse. He said, "Moop, moop, moop." The crotch of his pants darkened as his bladder let go. The split black eyeballs held themselves. First there was a seam, and then that was gone, and they were smooth again, only bulging from his face in small knobs, like those you sometimes see on an old tree. Then they pulled back in, and his eyes closed, and Devereaux gave a galvanic twist at the waist and fell on the floor. Elgin's white shirt ripped as he tore free of my grasp. He was out the door and around the partition and in the other half. He knelt and got his arms around Devereaux's shoulders. "Help me, William, help me." If Devereaux was dead, this would be partly on me, and even in my shock I knew it. Saying I was a witness rather than an accomplice wouldn't fly. So I went around the partition and into the test room and asked Elgin if he was breathing. He leaned forward, then winced back. "Yes, but his breath is foul." It wasn't only his breath that was foul. His sphincter had let go. I looked around. Not all the black tendrils were gone. Some of whatever Devereaux had brought back from the red house when he picked up the living room floor, perhaps flying up at him from the darkness and infecting him with one indrawn breath, was still floating in the far corner of the room, under one of the speakers. I watched them. If they moved toward us, I intended to flee and let the gentleman scientist fend for himself. This was his experiment, after all, yet even then, in those endless moments, I thought of far stars beyond the reach of any telescope, in the fuming interiors of 100,000 grains of sand, and knew it was also my experiment. I hadn't left. I could have, but I hadn't. I had felt the returning tingle of something approximating a normal human being, whatever that is, and assuming there is such a thing, like a limb that has been slept on and fallen asleep and begins to awake. On the hook, we used to say in the boondocks, or Fido, fuck it, drive on. We need to get him out of here. I pointed to black tendrils. They were stirring lightly, restlessly. I think they were watching us. I need a sample. You need to think about how you would look in a gel suit. Help me. We lifted him, Elgin taking his ankles and me taking the rest of him. We got him out the door and across the hall and into the living room. We laid him on the floor, with drool running from both sides of his mouth. I went back and shut the double doors to the former dining room, shutting in those black things from the other place under the floor, unless they could waft under the door jamb and in with us. I hoped the rest of them would just disappear. If Elgin wanted to fuck with them, that was on him. I was done. But first there was the matter of Devereaux. I told Elgin to help me sit him up so what was left of him wouldn't choke. We lifted his top half, Elgin on one side, me on the other, our hands meeting and clasping behind Devereaux's back. Blackish red tears ran from the corners of his eyes, blood and something else. I didn't want to know what the something else was. I slapped his cheek and bent to the ear on my side and told him to wake up, snap out of it, afraid of what his eyes would look like if he did. His eyes opened. They were bloodshot and gray as they had been, but empty of understanding. Elgin snapped his fingers in front of his face and nothing changed. I darted my fingers at his eyes and nothing changed. He was a breathing, man-sized doll. Oh my God, will he come back? I don't know, will he? You're the scientist. Elgin raised one of Devereaux's hands. It only hung there until he put it down again. We'll give it an hour, he said. We gave it 2. Most of the black tendrils were gone by then, but there were yet a few, and Elgin donned nitrile gloves and a face mask from one of the desk drawers and collected them in a plastic bag. I tried to stop him, but he wouldn't listen. I thought they might melt away in his hand, but they didn't. One of them curled around his gloved forefinger, and he had to detach it by scraping along the inside of the bag. "You're a fool to mess with those things," I said, and he repeated, "Proof." It wasn't good to be chained to him as I now was. The teacher of mathematics had become a drooling mannequin who showed no signs of coming back, and I had to deal with that, not for Elgin, but for myself. At least, the former teacher and present idiot wasn't married with children. I thought, I am on the hook. I thought, fuck it, drive on. Would you give him the check? What? No. I always keep the check until after the run is complete and they're ready to go home. You know that. Burn it. He never came, like the other one, Bilson. What a way to wake up to the world. I got his keys out of the piss stamp pocket, and we got him out to his car, carrying him like a sack of laundry that's still wet and heavy, and put him in the passenger seat. He leaned forward and put his forehead on the Chevy's dashboard as if praying to Allah. I told Elgin to push him back, and I fastened the seatbelt. Not all cars had them, but this one did. It was a 3-point harness, the kind with a chest strap, and that held him more or less upright, although his head was down with his chin on his chest. I thought that was all right. Anybody who saw him might think he was asleep. One of those black filaments came out of his nose and floated toward me, but Elgin was still wearing his nitrile gloves. He snatched it out of the air and blew it away. I wondered if there were more inside Devereaux. What are you going to do with him? I don't know. I got in the Chevy and drove away, back down Lake Road. I looked in the rearview mirror and saw Elgin standing in his driveway and watching. I drove with the windows open and the air conditioner on full. I was wearing a pair of Elgin's nitrile gloves, but had been since I got in the car. Twice more black things came out of his nose and once from his gaping mouth, but the moving air took them out the passenger window. I drove in the direction of Lewiston, Auburn, but had no intention of going that far. I knew where he lived. His Minot Avenue address had been on the release form, but there was no way I was going to drive him into the Twin Cities, not with still having to get him over into the driver's seat. I needed a quiet place to do that. I was on Route 119 in Waterford when I came to the Wolf Claw rest area. In the heat of the day, no one was there. I parked under the trees and went around to the passenger side and opened the door, unclipped the seatbelt, and Devereaux went leaning forward until his forehead was resting on the dashboard again. I wished I had asked the gentleman scientist for one of his masks, but what good would covering my mouth and nose do? The black filaments had come out of Devereaux's eyes. They could just as easily go into mine. I would just have to hope they were all gone. Hadn't seen any for the last 10 miles or so, but they might have come out and flown away through the open window while I was watching the road. I tilted him toward me and caught him and pulled him out of the car and dragged him around the hood. He was wearing loafers, and one of them came off. His blank eyes stared raptly into the sun. I got him behind the wheel, but it took time and wasn't easy. I hadn't expected it to be. Excuse me. He was breathing, but dead inside, and I knew from Nam that dead people are heavier. They shouldn't be, but they are. Gravity is greedy for the dead and wants them in the ground. Just my opinion, but others share it. He tilted forward again, and I grabbed him by the back hair and pulled him up before his forehead could hit the horn. I fastened his seatbelt, and his head sank until his chin was on his chest. Sorry guys, I lost my spot. I thought that was alright. I hoped no one would come until I got the righteous fuck out of there. I put the keys in the ignition and closed the door and started down Route 119. I had walked about a quarter of a mile before I remembered the shoe and went back. Somebody will be there by now, I thought. Someone who looked in the open window of the Chevy with the St. Dom sticker on the bumper and said, "Hey, mister, wake up. And hey, mister, are you all right? And by the way, mister, what are those black things coming out of your nose?" But no one was there. I picked up the loafer and opened the driver's door again and put it on his foot. Then I brushed out the tracks going around the front of the car, the ones his heels had made, and set off walking again. About 5 miles down the road, my shadow now starting to drag out long behind me, I came to a combination general store and gas station with a phone booth on the side. I had enough change in my pockets so I didn't have to go into the store where someone might see and remember me. That probably would have been all right, but by then I was thinking like a thief or a murderer. I called Elgin wanting a ride. Elgin didn't answer, and I had come alive enough to feel scared. I had a plan now, one that might get me and the gentleman scientist in the clear, but plans change. I kept thinking of him saying, "Proof, proof." I kept thinking he was crazy, and then I thought of how I knew that. I knew it all along, but said, "Fuck it," and drove on. Oh my goodness, guys. Looks like we're out of time. We're going to pause there on the story. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight on We Are Paradox Media's Late Night in the Rockies. I keep saying that, and you guys already know what it is. Thank you to all my friends out there, wherever you may be listening. Beyond the Omniverse, I hope you guys have an awesome week. Don't work too hard. Yeah. I'm really hoping to get on the trend of at least doing Wednesdays during the week, but see what happens. We're going to fill it out. But yeah, maybe even Mondays. I don't know. We'll see. Let me know what you think. We are paradoxmedia@gmail.com. Don't forget, we're all in this together. Together, we can make the world better. And together, my friends, we are Paradox Media, because without you, there is no us. Night, night, love and light. Take care of my yous. Don't take life too seriously, and I shall see you soon.